Your thoughts shape your life, and learning to stop negative thinking is the first step to becoming your best self. This audiobook is a complete guide to understanding how your mind works, recognizing patterns that hold you back, and taking practical steps to change the way you think every day. You will discover simple techniques to replace doubt with confidence, calm anxious thoughts, and turn small daily actions into powerful habits that improve your life. You will learn how to reflect on your choices, track your growth, and act in ways that align with who you truly want to be. Each chapter gives clear, actionable steps that anyone can follow to build resilience, focus, and energy for daily life. By the end, you will have tools to notice your thoughts without reacting automatically, practice gratitude, strengthen your emotional control, and make choices that match your values. If you are ready to stop letting negative thoughts control your life and start creating real progress every day, this audiobook will show you exactly how to do it. Stay with this guide, apply each step, and watch how small changes in thinking can lead to lasting results and a stronger, more confident version of yourself. Chapter 1. Build daily habits that replace negative thoughts with positive actions. Negative thoughts have a way of sneaking into our minds without warning. They can appear subtly at first, whispering doubts, anxieties, and fears, and then grow louder, shaping the way we perceive ourselves and the world around us. These thoughts are not just fleeting moments of self-doubt. They are patterns that, if left unchecked, can influence our actions, relationships, and overall sense of purpose. Breaking free from this cycle begins with building daily habits that actively replace negative thoughts with positive actions. This is not an abstract concept or a feel-good suggestion. It is a concrete, actionable approach to reshaping your mind, your behavior, and ultimately your life. Developing these habits requires consistency, awareness, and a willingness to take responsibility for your own mental state. The good news is that every individual, regardless of past experiences or current circumstances, has the capacity to cultivate these habits and witness real change in their life. The first step is awareness. It is impossible to change what you do not see. Observe your mind closely for a week and notice the thoughts that arise most frequently. Pay attention to how often your mind drifts to self-criticism, fear, worry, or resentment. Write them down without judgment. Seeing these thoughts on paper makes them tangible, measurable, and easier to address. Once identified, the next step is to create replacement habits. These are not one-time fixes or temporary distractions. They are daily, deliberate actions that redirect your energy from negative mental loops into constructive, empowering behaviors. One of the most effective habits to cultivate is a morning routine that prioritizes clarity and purpose. How you start your day sets the tone for the hours that follow. Begin with a simple practice that prepares your mind to function in a positive and focused manner. This could be as straightforward as spending 10 minutes reflecting on your goals, writing down 3 things you intend to accomplish, and noting 1 positive quality about yourself. The act of putting thoughts on paper engages your brain actively and replaces the automatic pattern of self-doubt with intentional focus on progress and capability. Over time, this becomes automatic. When negative thoughts arise, your mind has a pre-existing pathway to positivity, and it begins to favor this constructive approach over habitual negativity. Another habit that has transformative power is intentional movement. Physical activity is closely linked to mental clarity and emotional regulation. When you exercise, your body releases endorphins, natural chemicals that reduce stress and improve mood. Engaging in daily movement, even for 20 to 30 minutes, creates a physiological shift that supports mental resilience. Choose a type of movement you enjoy, whether it is walking, yoga, strength training, or stretching, and treat it as a non-negotiable appointment with yourself. During these sessions, focus on the present sensation of your body in motion rather than letting your mind wander into negative stories or imagined failures. This practice trains your mind to experience joy and focus in the present moment, a habit that directly counters the tendency to ruminate on fears or regrets. In addition to morning routines and movement, the use of affirmations can play a powerful role in building positive mental habits. Affirmations are concise statements that reinforce a sense of competence, worth, and possibility. They are most effective when repeated consistently, ideally aloud or written down each day. For example, statements like "I am capable of handling challenges with clarity," or "I focus on actions that bring me growth," anchor your mind in a framework of proactive thinking. Repetition is key. The brain thrives on patterns, and consistently feeding it positive statements rewires thought processes over time. This does not mean ignoring reality or denying challenges. It means training your mind to approach difficulties from a standpoint of constructive action rather than fear or paralysis. Daily reflection is another essential habit. At the end of each day, spend a few minutes reviewing your thoughts, actions, and reactions. Identify moments when negativity crept in and assess how you responded. Did you allow it to dominate your decisions, or were you able to redirect your energy towards something constructive? This practice of reflection creates accountability and awareness, two critical components for personal growth. Make it actionable by asking questions such as, "What negative thought appeared today and how did I respond? What positive action replaced a potentially negative reaction, and what can I improve tomorrow to maintain this positive momentum?" The more detailed and honest your reflection, the more powerful it becomes as a tool for transformation. Journaling complements reflection and is a practical way to solidify positive habits. Writing your thoughts helps clarify them, turning vague anxieties into defined challenges with actionable solutions. Structure your journal entries to include 3 sections: awareness, action, and gratitude. In the awareness section, note any recurring negative thoughts or patterns. In the action section, write down what steps you took or will take to counter these thoughts with positive behaviors. In the gratitude section, identify at least one positive experience, insight, or strength you displayed. Over time, this journal becomes a map of your progress, illustrating how consistently applied habits can shift your mindset from negativity to proactive self-improvement. Creating accountability systems is also vital in habit building. Habits are reinforced through consistency, but external accountability accelerates the process. Share your goals with a trusted friend or mentor who can check in with you regularly. Alternatively, use a digital tool to track your habits daily. The act of marking progress reinforces your commitment and provides visible evidence that you are actively reshaping your mental patterns. Positive reinforcement, even through small markers of progress, strengthens habit formation and motivates sustained action. Mindful consumption of information is another practical habit that reduces negative thinking. The content you absorb daily shapes your beliefs and emotional responses. Limit exposure to sources that induce fear, resentment, or pessimism. Instead, prioritize reading, listening, and engaging with material that inspires growth, provides practical guidance, and reinforces constructive thinking. Consuming positive, actionable content primes your mind to see opportunities rather than obstacles. This is a subtle but highly effective way to replace negative thought loops with mental habits that foster clarity, resilience, and purposeful action. Another habit to build is the practice of deliberate pauses during moments of stress or negativity. When a challenging situation arises, the initial reaction is often automatic, fueled by fear, anger, or frustration. By pausing even for a few deep breaths, you create space to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Use this time to ask yourself, what action can I take right now that aligns with my values and goals? This simple habit transforms negative mental energy into strategic action, gradually rewiring your brain to respond to challenges with composure and purpose. Integration of positive habits into existing routines is essential for sustainability. Habits are easier to maintain when they are connected to behaviors that are already established. For example, you might link a 5-minute reflection session to your morning coffee or a gratitude practice to brushing your teeth at night. Pairing new habits with existing routines increases consistency and reduces mental friction, making the replacement of negative thoughts with positive actions feel natural and automatic. Visualization is another tool that strengthens daily habits of positivity. Spend a few minutes each day imagining yourself responding to challenges calmly, making decisions confidently, and acting with purpose. Visualization is not wishful thinking, it is rehearsal. The brain responds to imagined experiences similarly to real ones, and consistent mental practice reinforces your ability to take positive actions when real situations arise. Combine visualization with concrete planning by identifying the steps you will take when faced with specific challenges. This dual approach trains your mind and prepares your behavior simultaneously. Small wins compound over time and reinforce positive mental habits. Focus on achieving manageable, actionable goals daily. Completing even simple tasks like organizing a workspace, following through on a promise, or reaching out to support someone creates momentum. Each small win replaces a potential negative thought, such as, "I am not capable," with tangible evidence of competence and progress. Over weeks and months, these wins accumulate, reshaping your self-perception and reinforcing the daily habit of acting positively in response to your thoughts. Social interactions also influence the formation of mental habits. Surround yourself with individuals who encourage constructive thinking, support growth, and model resilience. Avoid relationships that consistently reinforce negative thinking or drain your energy. This does not mean avoiding reality or conflict entirely. It means consciously choosing influences that support your goals. Positive social reinforcement acts as a multiplier, strengthening the mental and behavioral habits you are cultivating independently. Building habits that replace negative thoughts with positive actions is also about reducing exposure to triggers that reinforce pessimism. Evaluate your environment and identify elements that provoke stress, self-doubt, or fear. This could be clutter, disorganization, or exposure to toxic conversations. Implement simple changes, such as tidying your space, setting boundaries with time and attention, and curating what you allow into your mental landscape. By controlling these external factors, you support the internal process of habit formation and make it easier to maintain positivity consistently. Persistence is critical. Changing thought patterns and building new habits is not instantaneous. The mind resists change naturally, and there will be days when negativity feels overwhelming. Acknowledge these moments without judgment and recommit to your practices immediately. Understand that setbacks are not failures, but opportunities to strengthen resilience and deepen commitment. The discipline of returning to your daily habits, even when it feels challenging, is what ultimately solidifies the replacement of negative thoughts with positive actions. Daily habits should evolve and adapt. As your mind becomes more resilient and your actions more constructive, introduce new challenges that continue growth. Increase the complexity or duration of your routines, expand your reading or learning practices, or engage in more demanding physical or mental exercises. This progressive approach prevents stagnation and ensures that the replacement of negative thoughts with positive actions remains dynamic, engaging, and effective. Ultimately, building daily habits to replace negative thoughts with positive actions is an ongoing journey of self-mastery. It is the conscious decision to take responsibility for your mind, to direct your focus toward growth, and to choose behaviors that reinforce confidence, clarity, and purpose. Each small habit, when consistently applied, contributes to a mindset that is less reactive, more proactive, and capable of handling the inevitable challenges of life with calm and competence. The process is practical, actionable, and grounded in real-world application. It does not require extraordinary circumstances or unique talent, only daily effort, attention, and deliberate choice. The power of this approach lies not only in immediate relief from negative thoughts, but in the long-term transformation of identity and capability. As positive habits accumulate, they reshape not only your actions, but also your beliefs about yourself. You begin to see yourself as someone who acts, not someone who reacts, someone capable, not someone defeated by circumstances, someone resilient, not someone at the mercy of fleeting thoughts. This shift is profound because it influences every area of life, from personal relationships to career performance to overall well-being. To put this into practice, start with a small, manageable routine today. Identify one negative thought you notice repeatedly. Decide on one concrete action to replace it. Commit to performing this action consistently for the next 7 days. Track your progress in a journal, noting the effect on your mood, energy, and productivity. Expand this practice gradually, adding morning routines, movement, reflection, journaling, and accountability. Allow yourself to experience the cumulative effect of these habits. Recognize that every intentional action you take strengthens your capacity to replace negativity with constructive action, reinforcing the cycle of positive growth. Consistency, awareness, and deliberate choice are the pillars of this process. Replace passive rumination with proactive action. Replace self-doubt with small wins. Replace mental chaos with structured routines. Over time, these habits do more than manage negative thinking. They transform the way you approach life, turning challenges into opportunities, setbacks into lessons, and daily experiences into platforms for growth. In conclusion, the practice of building daily habits to replace negative thoughts with positive actions is both simple and profound. It requires commitment, patience, and deliberate effort. Each step, from morning routines to reflection, movement, affirmation, and accountability, is a tool for reshaping your mind and your life. The journey is practical, grounded, and achievable, and it begins with one choice each day: to act differently than you did yesterday. With persistence, these habits become automatic, the mind reoriented toward growth, and your life progressively aligned with your best self. The transformation is tangible, measurable, and deeply empowering because it is rooted in consistent action, thoughtful reflection, and the unwavering commitment to replace negativity with constructive behavior. The moment to begin is now. Start small, act daily, reflect honestly, and allow these habits to accumulate. The life you want is not a distant ideal. It is the result of deliberate actions taken consistently. Build your habits with purpose, replace negative thoughts with positive actions, and witness the transformation unfold steadily and profoundly. The process is simple in principle, challenging in execution, and rewarding beyond measure. The power lies entirely within your hands to act and persist. Chapter 2. Replace self-doubt with proven evidence of your real strengths. Confidence is built on proof, not promises, and the most reliable way to overcome self-doubt is to consistently collect evidence of your own abilities. Every time uncertainty or fear arises in your mind, it is not a reflection of your worth, but a call to examine what you have already accomplished and what you are capable of achieving. Self-doubt thrives in ambiguity because it asks you to believe in a version of yourself without evidence. Replacing it requires deliberate attention, intentional action, and the habit of documenting and reflecting on your real strengths. Your mind must see tangible proof to trust itself and to silence the persistent whispers of uncertainty. Start by reviewing past successes. Think of every situation where you faced a challenge and overcame it. These may be professional achievements, personal milestones, or small victories you might have dismissed at the time. Write them down in detail. Include the obstacles you encountered, the steps you took, and the outcomes you achieved. Seeing your accomplishments in black and white creates undeniable evidence that you are capable, resilient, and competent. This exercise is more than a confidence boost. It is a factual record of your abilities that can be referenced whenever doubt threatens to derail your focus. Next, focus on current skills and abilities. List your talents, knowledge, and experiences that consistently produce results. Recognize what you do well without letting humility or perfectionism minimize your achievements. Strength is not about arrogance, it is about clarity. When your mind is unsure of itself, remind it of these skills and the concrete ways you have applied them successfully. By anchoring your self-image in verifiable evidence, you reduce the power of fear, insecurity, and comparison. It is also essential to track measurable outcomes of your efforts. Self-doubt often magnifies the unknown and underplays real results. Record metrics, milestones, and feedback that clearly demonstrate your progress. For example, if you completed a project, note the tangible impact it had, whether it was solving a problem, helping others, or contributing to your goals. If you received praise or recognition, document it. These concrete markers form a body of evidence that your mind can trust. Over time, your internal dialogue shifts from questioning your abilities to affirming them based on reality. Another powerful approach is to gather external perspectives. Feedback from mentors, colleagues, friends, or family provides insight that often contradicts your self-critical thoughts. Others can see strengths that you may overlook or undervalue. Create a habit of asking for specific feedback about your performance, your skills, or your contributions. Listen attentively and record these observations. They serve as additional proof that you are capable and competent. Self-doubt diminishes when it is confronted with multiple sources of evidence that align with your actual performance. Daily reflection strengthens this practice. At the end of each day, identify moments when you acted confidently, solved a problem effectively, or handled a situation well. Focus on the actions, not just outcomes, because competent behavior is more important than occasional luck or circumstance. Document these observations consistently. This creates a running narrative of capability that your mind can access whenever self-doubt emerges. The act of writing reinforces awareness, and repetition solidifies belief. Challenge yourself with small, deliberate actions that test your abilities. Confidence grows when it is earned through practice. Set achievable tasks that stretch your skills slightly beyond your comfort zone. Completing these tasks reinforces your competence while gradually expanding your capacity. Each success, no matter how small, becomes evidence against the voice of doubt. Over time, your mind associates risk and effort with mastery rather than fear, reshaping your inner dialogue and building lasting resilience. Visualization reinforces evidence-based confidence. Take a few minutes each day to vividly imagine yourself succeeding in areas where self-doubt is strongest. Focus on actions, responses, and the outcomes you want to achieve. Your brain treats these rehearsed successes as real experiences, strengthening neural pathways that support positive belief in your own abilities. Combine visualization with tangible records of your past successes to create an internal system of proof that can be drawn upon whenever uncertainty arises. Avoid comparing yourself to others as a measure of your worth. Self-doubt thrives in comparison because it shifts focus from personal evidence to perceived gaps. Instead, concentrate solely on your own track record, skills, and growth. Recognize that every individual's journey is unique and that your evidence is sufficient to validate your abilities. Tracking your accomplishments and skills independently ensures that your confidence is grounded in reality rather than external standards that fluctuate or feel unattainable. Celebrate incremental wins consistently. Too often, people dismiss small successes, believing only major achievements count. Each time you complete a task, learn a skill, or handle a challenge effectively, acknowledge it. These small wins accumulate into undeniable proof of capability over time. Recognition reinforces positive thought patterns and gradually silences self-doubt. Your mind begins to expect success because it has repeatedly experienced it and recorded it. Intentionally confront past failures with a new perspective. Reflect on situations that initially fueled self-doubt and analyze what you learned, what you did well despite the outcome, and how you improved. Every setback carries hidden evidence of growth and competence that self-doubt often ignores. Recognizing these lessons reinforces the idea that your ability to handle challenges is not defined by perfection, but by consistent action and learning. Create a tangible repository of strengths. This could be a notebook, digital file, or journal where you record achievements, compliments, skill demonstrations, and lessons learned from difficult situations. Return to it regularly to reinforce your sense of capability. The physical act of reviewing evidence anchors confidence in reality and serves as a counterweight to the distorted narratives self-doubt often generates. Adopt a practice of verbal affirmation supported by proof. When doubt arises, respond with statements grounded in evidence. For example, instead of saying, "I am not good enough," affirm, "I successfully completed X project and handled Y challenge effectively." This links positive self-talk to concrete reality, which is far more persuasive to the mind than empty reassurance. Repetition of these evidence-backed affirmations strengthens neural pathways that reinforce competence and self-belief. Set goals and track progress rigorously. Goals act as experiments in proving your abilities to yourself. Each completed goal, whether small or significant, becomes an additional data point demonstrating your capacity. Break larger goals into actionable steps and record accomplishments along the way. The accumulation of these results forms a comprehensive body of evidence that your mind can trust when confronted with doubt. Engage in skill expansion actively. Learning new abilities or refining existing ones provides continuous proof of growth and competence. Each new skill mastered or task improved reinforces self-belief and demonstrates that your capabilities are not static. This proactive approach turns doubt into opportunity because every effort made and success achieved serves as undeniable evidence of strength. Observe your patterns of achievement objectively. Avoid letting emotions color your perception of your competence. Look at facts, outcomes, and measurable results. Emotional responses are often distorted and can amplify doubt unnecessarily. Grounding your assessment in observable evidence ensures that your confidence is based on reality and not on fear, speculation, or imagined inadequacy. Avoid waiting for external validation to confirm your abilities. Rely primarily on evidence you have generated through action, reflection, and results. External recognition is a supplement, not a requirement. Self-doubt diminishes most effectively when confidence is sourced internally from tangible proof, not from fluctuating opinions or praise. Maintain consistency in all these practices. Confidence built on evidence grows gradually and strengthens over time. Sporadic recognition of strengths or occasional reflection is not enough. Daily attention, documentation, and review create a momentum that becomes self-reinforcing. The more consistently you collect and reflect on proof of your abilities, the less room remains for doubt to operate. Lastly, embody the mindset of capability. Act in alignment with the strengths you have demonstrated, engage in challenges with confidence supported by evidence, and approach opportunities with the awareness that your record shows you are capable. Confidence rooted in reality transforms the way you perceive obstacles, interact with others, and approach your own growth. Self-doubt loses power when confronted with deliberate, consistent, and documented evidence of your real strengths. By systematically replacing self-doubt with proof of competence, the mind begins to trust itself. You create an internal narrative built on reality rather than fear. This approach is not theoretical, it is practical, actionable, and grounded in daily practices that anyone can adopt. Start by listing past achievements, recording measurable outcomes, seeking constructive feedback, celebrating wins, visualizing success, and tracking new skills. Each step builds undeniable evidence that strengthens confidence and reduces doubt. Over time, these habits create a resilient mental framework in which uncertainty no longer dominates, but is met with deliberate, proven self-assurance. The process is gradual, cumulative, and powerful. Every documented success, every acknowledged skill, every learned lesson becomes a tool in dismantling doubt and building enduring confidence. With daily attention, consistent reflection, and an evidence-based mindset, the mental space once occupied by fear and uncertainty transforms into one dominated by capability, clarity, and strength. Your ability to replace self-doubt with evidence of your strengths is the foundation of lasting personal growth. It is a practice of awareness, recording, reflection, action, and acknowledgement. Each step reinforces the next. By the time doubt arises, you have already prepared your mind with facts, experience, and proven ability. This is the path to confidence that is grounded in reality, sustained by daily effort, and resilient in the face of any challenge. Chapter 3. Train your mind to notice facts, not fear-driven stories. Fear is not reality, and the mind has a natural tendency to exaggerate danger, imagine worst-case scenarios, and create stories that have no factual basis. Every time anxiety, worry, or hesitation arises, it is often fueled not by what is actually happening, but by imagined threats that the brain interprets as truth. Training your mind to distinguish between facts and fear-driven stories is the single most effective way to reclaim control, reduce stress, and make decisions grounded in reality. Your thoughts are powerful, but unchecked, they can trap you in cycles of doubt, hesitation, and imagined failure. To live effectively and act decisively, you must develop the habit of questioning narratives, analyzing evidence, and responding to reality rather than illusion. Start by observing your thoughts without judgment. Many people react automatically to fear-driven stories without ever noticing them. Take note of the thoughts that arise when you feel anxious, uncertain, or pressured. Ask yourself, what is the evidence that supports this thought? What evidence contradicts it? By creating a habit of separating facts from imagined scenarios, you begin to build a mental discipline that prioritizes truth over speculation. Observation alone is transformative because it interrupts automatic reactions and creates space for conscious decision-making. Once you can identify fear-driven thoughts, challenge them systematically. Fear often presents itself as certainty when it is only possibility. For example, when your mind whispers that you will fail at a task, examine the statement carefully. What proof do you have that failure is inevitable? Have you accomplished similar tasks in the past? What steps can you take to reduce risk or improve outcomes? By interrogating fear-driven thoughts, you expose the gap between imagination and reality. This habit weakens the automatic power of fear and strengthens confidence in reasoned judgment. Daily journaling is a practical method to reinforce this skill. Write down the fear-based thoughts you encounter and then list objective facts that either support or contradict them. This exercise trains your brain to prioritize evidence over story. Over time, the habit of writing creates a structured pattern for evaluating thoughts and reduces the tendency to accept fear as truth. The act of recording your thoughts externally also provides clarity that is difficult to achieve when everything remains internal and unexamined. Visualization of facts-based outcomes further strengthens this practice. Instead of imagining catastrophic failures, consciously visualize actions supported by reality and evidence. Picture yourself handling challenges effectively, making decisions calmly, and responding to situations based on what is known rather than imagined. The brain responds to repeated, controlled visualization, much like real experience, reinforcing the ability to trust reasoned assessment over fear-driven interpretation. Engage in mindfulness practices to enhance awareness of mental patterns. Simple exercises, such as focusing on your breath or observing sensations in your body, help anchor your attention in the present. Fear-driven stories often arise when the mind projects into the future or dwells on the past. By cultivating present-moment awareness, you reduce the intensity of imagined threats and create mental space to examine situations objectively. Mindfulness strengthens the neural pathways associated with observation, analysis, and controlled response. Incorporate the habit of seeking objective feedback. When confronted with fear-based narratives about your abilities, relationships, or decisions, ask others for a factual perspective. Gather concrete information that either validates or disproves your fears. Objective feedback acts as a mirror, revealing distortions your mind may be accepting as truth. Over time, this external verification reinforces your internal capacity to differentiate fact from fiction. Another essential practice is breaking down problems into actionable steps. Fear-driven stories often amplify obstacles and make them appear insurmountable. By segmenting challenges into small, tangible tasks, you transform abstract threats into manageable realities. Focus on what can be done immediately, rather than on hypothetical outcomes. Taking action grounded in facts reduces anxiety, builds momentum, and strengthens trust in your ability to handle challenges rationally. Adopt a habit of questioning assumptions continuously. The mind frequently fills gaps in knowledge with imagined scenarios. Before accepting a thought as truth, ask, is this based on observable evidence? Am I assuming the worst without confirmation? Could there be alternative explanations? Repeatedly practicing this habit sharpens critical thinking and ensures that decisions and responses are informed by facts rather than fear. Environmental cues influence the prevalence of fear-driven thinking. Limit exposure to sources that amplify anxiety unnecessarily, whether through social media, news, or negative conversations. Instead, focus on inputs that provide practical information, solution-oriented perspectives, and balanced viewpoints. Curating your environment supports the mental habit of prioritizing reality over imagined threats and reduces the unconscious reinforcement of fear-based stories. Celebrate moments when you successfully act on facts instead of fear. Reflect on decisions where careful analysis, rather than panic or worry, guided your response. Recognizing these successes reinforces the value of fact-based thinking and motivates continued practice. Each positive outcome becomes evidence that your mind can function effectively when trained to notice reality rather than entertain imagined threats. Physical practices support this mental training. Stress often manifests as tension, shallow breathing, or restlessness. By maintaining a daily routine of movement, stretching, or focused breathing, you create bodily conditions that support calm observation and reasoned thought. A relaxed body allows the mind to assess situations with clarity, reducing the likelihood of fear-driven reactions dominating your behavior. Reading and learning from factual sources enhances the ability to evaluate reality accurately. Exposure to knowledge, data, and experience broadens perspective and reduces reliance on assumptions. Understanding principles, patterns, and historical outcomes equips your mind with reference points that counteract fear-driven speculation. Education becomes a tool for grounding thinking in evidence rather than imagination. Practice reframing events objectively. When a situation triggers fear or worry, identify neutral facts separate from emotional interpretation. For instance, if a colleague provides critical feedback, distinguish between the actual feedback and the story your mind constructs about failure or inadequacy. This habit allows you to respond to reality with clarity and prevents fear from dictating emotions or actions unnecessarily. Engage in regular reflection sessions. Allocate time weekly to review instances where fear stories arose and analyze the factual basis. Evaluate how well you responded based on evidence and consider how you can improve next time. This iterative practice strengthens your ability to discern reality under pressure and progressively reduces susceptibility to imagined threats. Cultivate patience in the process. The mind is conditioned over years to react to uncertainty with fear. Rewiring these patterns requires consistent attention and deliberate practice. Expect occasional lapses without judgment and recommit immediately to observing, questioning, and acting based on facts. Over time, consistency solidifies fact-based thinking as the default mental habit. Use accountability mechanisms to reinforce your progress. Share your goal of responding to fear-driven thoughts with a trusted friend, mentor, or coach. Regular check-ins provide external reinforcement and maintain focus on cultivating factual awareness. External accountability accelerates habit formation and ensures you remain committed to transforming mental patterns effectively. Replace what-if catastrophizing with scenario analysis. Fear-driven stories often ask endless hypothetical questions designed to paralyze action. Instead, identify probable scenarios and outline practical responses. Focus on what is most likely to occur and how you can respond effectively. This habit channels energy into preparation rather than anxiety, turning imagined threats into actionable insights. Develop the habit of noting successful evidence repeatedly. Whenever you respond calmly, act decisively, or handle challenges based on fact, record it. Over time, this creates a portfolio of proof that reinforces the effectiveness of fact-based thinking. The brain internalizes repeated experiences, making rational assessment the default response over fear-driven speculation. Engage in dialogue with yourself actively. When a fear-driven story arises, verbally challenge it with evidence. Ask, what actually happened? What do I know for certain? What steps can I take based on reality? Speaking aloud strengthens neural pathways associated with reasoning and allows your mind to internalize factual analysis more effectively than silent contemplation alone. Finally, integrate these practices into a cohesive daily routine. Morning reflection, mindful observation, journaling, deliberate questioning, scenario planning, and physical regulation together create a robust system to detect and respond to fear-driven stories with facts. The mind becomes trained to prioritize evidence, respond with clarity, and act decisively in all situations. Over time, this mental discipline reduces unnecessary anxiety, builds confidence, and ensures that decisions are informed by reality rather than imagination. By consistently applying these habits, fear loses its power to dictate behavior. The mind recognizes that imagined stories are not commands, and that reality can be assessed, understood, and acted upon with precision. Life becomes less reactive and more intentional because decisions are based on observable facts, not unverified fears. This transformation creates resilience, focus, and a sense of control that allows every challenge to be approached strategically and effectively. Training your mind to notice facts instead of fear-driven stories is a skill that grows with attention, practice, and persistence. Each observation, each challenge, and each deliberate reflection strengthens the ability to discern reality, respond intelligently, and live without being dominated by imagined threats. The process is practical, actionable, and profoundly empowering, offering a path to mental clarity, emotional stability, and consistent achievement. Chapter 4. Practice simple breathing techniques to calm anxious racing thoughts. Calm begins with the breath, and mastering it can transform even the most chaotic mind into a space of clarity and control. Racing thoughts and persistent anxiety are not signs of weakness, but signals that your nervous system is overstimulated and your mind is seeking relief. The power to regain focus, reduce stress, and create mental clarity lies in simple, intentional breathing practices that anyone can implement immediately. Breathing is the bridge between body and mind, and learning to harness it provides direct access to emotional regulation, concentration, and inner stability. By practicing structured breathing techniques consistently, you train your mind to pause, redirect energy, and act with calm precision even under pressure. Begin with awareness of your natural breathing patterns. Most people unconsciously take shallow, rapid breaths when stressed, which fuels anxiety and exacerbates mental tension. Take a moment to notice your inhale and exhale without altering it. Observe whether your chest rises and falls, whether your breath is smooth or jagged, and the rhythm it follows. This simple awareness practice sets the foundation for control. By identifying your habitual patterns, you can intentionally shift them toward more stabilizing rhythms that support calm and focus. One of the most accessible techniques is deep diaphragmatic breathing. Place one hand on your chest and the other on your stomach. Inhale slowly through your nose, allowing your stomach to expand fully while your chest remains relatively still. Pause briefly, then exhale slowly and completely through your mouth, letting your stomach fall. This type of breathing engages the diaphragm, activates the parasympathetic nervous system, and signals the body that it is safe to relax. Practicing diaphragmatic breathing for even 5 minutes, several times a day, significantly reduces racing thoughts and creates a mental state conducive to clarity and focus. Box breathing is another powerful method to regulate the nervous system. Inhale deeply for a count of 4, hold the breath for 4 counts, exhale slowly for 4 counts, and hold again for 4 counts. Repeat this cycle for several rounds. The structured timing not only stabilizes physiological responses, but also provides the mind with a tangible anchor, drawing attention away from spiraling worries. Box breathing is especially effective in high-stress situations because it provides a clear framework to regain composure quickly and reliably. Progressive breath counting enhances focus and prevents the mind from wandering into anxious narratives. Begin by inhaling for a count of 3, holding for 2, exhaling for 4, and pausing briefly before the next cycle. Maintain a steady rhythm and count silently with each breath. Concentrating on counting shifts attention from racing thoughts to a controlled physiological process, reinforcing the ability to detach from mental chaos and regain control over your focus. Combine breathing techniques with visualization for amplified effect. As you inhale, imagine drawing calm energy into your body. As you exhale, envision releasing tension, worry, and intrusive thoughts. This pairing of physical and mental practice strengthens neural pathways that associate controlled breathing with relaxation and clarity. Visualization makes abstract concepts tangible and reinforces the mind-body connection necessary for effective emotional regulation. Integrating brief breathing sessions throughout the day is more impactful than occasional prolonged practice. Take 1 to 2 minutes before meetings, presentations, or challenging conversations to reset your mind. Use moments of transition, such as waiting in line or walking between locations, to perform focused breaths. These short, repeated interventions prevent anxiety from escalating and create a cumulative effect that stabilizes mood and mental clarity over time. Observe the relationship between posture and breath. Sitting or standing upright allows for fuller lung expansion and encourages deeper, more effective breathing. Slouching or hunching compresses the chest and diaphragm, reducing oxygen intake and amplifying tension. Aligning your body intentionally while practicing breathing not only enhances physical efficiency but also reinforces the psychological sense of control and readiness. Posture and breath together provide a foundation for mental resilience and calm focus. Anchor your practice to sensory awareness. Notice the sensation of air entering your nostrils, the subtle expansion of your lungs, and the release of tension with each exhale. Engaging the senses anchors attention to the present moment, reducing the mind's tendency to ruminate or spiral into fear-driven thoughts. Sensory engagement transforms breathing from a mechanical task into a fully immersive mental exercise that enhances calm and presence. Incorporate affirmations alongside your breathing to strengthen positive mental states. While inhaling, silently affirm a word or phrase, such as calm or focus. On the exhale, release any tension, fear, or distraction. This coupling of breath and intention reinforces mental conditioning and creates a habit of linking physiological states with desired emotional outcomes. Repetition over time solidifies the association between controlled breathing and a calm, confident mental state. Pair breathing exercises with progressive muscle relaxation to release tension more fully. As you inhale, tense a specific muscle group, then relax it completely on the exhale. Move systematically through the body from head to toe. This combination of conscious breath and muscle awareness deepens the physiological shift toward relaxation and trains the mind to recognize tension patterns early, allowing proactive release before anxiety escalates. Track your breathing practice to ensure consistency and growth. Maintain a journal, noting when you practiced, which technique you used, and how your mind and body responded. Record any reduction in racing thoughts, enhanced focus, or improved emotional regulation. Reviewing this record reinforces motivation, demonstrates progress, and provides evidence that consistent practice produces tangible results. Explore alternate nostril breathing to balance energy and mental clarity. Close one nostril and inhale slowly through the other. Then switch and exhale through the opposite side. Continue alternating for several cycles. This technique balances the hemispheres of the brain, reduces stress, and enhances focus. It also trains awareness and precision, reinforcing the habit of attentive, controlled breathing under pressure. Integrate breathing practices with daily movement for synergistic effect. Activities like walking, stretching, or gentle yoga, when paired with conscious breath, amplify oxygenation, improve circulation, and strengthen the mind-body connection. Movement plus breath engages multiple physiological systems, enhancing both mental clarity and emotional resilience simultaneously. Practice awareness of breath during moments of high stress. Whenever tension arises, consciously slow your breathing and lengthen your exhale. Extended exhalation stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system and counters the physiological effects of the fight or flight response. Training this response under real-life conditions strengthens the automatic ability to regulate stress naturally and consistently. Experiment with rhythmic breathing during tasks requiring high concentration. Align breaths with specific actions, such as typing, lifting, or speaking, to create a subtle internal rhythm that stabilizes focus and prevents mental drift. Rhythmic breathing conditions the nervous system to maintain equanimity even during sustained cognitive or physical demand. Recognize that breathing techniques are cumulative in effect. A single session may produce temporary calm, but repeated daily practice rewires physiological and mental responses to stress. The brain begins to associate breath with relaxation and focus, creating automatic patterns that intervene whenever anxiety emerges. Long-term mastery builds confidence in handling challenges without being overwhelmed by racing thoughts. Engage in group or guided breathing exercises when possible. Structured environments, whether in person or through recordings, provide support, feedback, and motivation to deepen practice. Following guided instruction reinforces correct technique, encourages discipline, and exposes you to variations that enhance adaptability and effectiveness. Create a dedicated breathing ritual to anchor mental stability. Morning and evening sessions provide bookends to the day, setting a baseline for calm and reflection. Morning practice primes attention and focus, while evening sessions release accumulated stress and prepare the mind for restorative sleep. Ritualization transforms practice from occasional intervention to integral lifestyle habit. Combine mindful observation of breath with reflection on thought patterns. Notice when the mind attempts to distract, analyze, or ruminate during breathing. Gently return attention to inhale and exhale. This cultivates mental discipline and strengthens the ability to observe thoughts without attachment or reaction, directly reducing the intensity of racing ideas and anxiety. Finally, understand that mastery of breathing is mastery over attention. Each conscious breath reinforces the principle that control over physiological processes translates into control over mental states. By practicing consistently, awareness, precision, and intention become second nature, allowing the mind to remain centered, calm, and focused even in the face of uncertainty. Intentional breath practice transforms anxious, scattered thinking into deliberate, structured mental activity. Through diaphragmatic breathing, box breathing, alternate nostril methods, rhythmic alignment, and sensory engagement, the nervous system learns to regulate itself naturally. Daily consistency, paired with reflection and journaling, reinforces habits, documents progress, and ensures that controlled breath becomes an automatic tool for emotional regulation and mental clarity. Over time, racing thoughts lose dominance, focus strengthens, and the mind cultivates resilience, rooted in physiological control and intentional practice. The act of breathing consciously is simple yet profoundly transformative. Each inhale supplies oxygen to the body and mind, while each exhale releases tension and unproductive energy. Regular practice develops not only calmness, but the ability to respond intentionally to stress, challenges, and unexpected circumstances. Mastery over breath is mastery over thought, emotion, and action, creating a foundation for lasting mental clarity, emotional stability, and the capacity to live purposefully. Chapter 5. Create a daily reflection routine to evaluate and improve mindset. Growth begins when you pause to examine your thoughts and actions with honesty and clarity. A daily reflection routine is not a luxury or optional practice. It is the foundation for improving mindset, increasing self-awareness, and creating consistent progress in life. Without reflection, actions remain reactive, habits remain unexamined, and growth becomes accidental rather than deliberate. Reflection allows you to see patterns in behavior, identify thought processes that hold you back, and recognize the moments when you act in alignment with your goals. It transforms ordinary experiences into lessons, turning each day into an opportunity for insight and personal development. Start by dedicating a specific time each day to reflection. The consistency of this routine builds discipline and signals to your mind that observation is a priority. Whether in the morning, midday, or evening, choose a quiet space free from distractions. Begin by reviewing the events of the day and your responses to them. Ask yourself what went well, what challenges you faced, and how you reacted emotionally and mentally. This habit of structured questioning allows you to track patterns over time and develop actionable insights rather than relying on vague impressions. Use a journal as the primary tool for daily reflection. Writing thoughts down externalizes them and prevents the mind from repeating the same narratives unconsciously. Divide your journal into sections that include observations, lessons learned, and actionable steps. Observation focuses on noting facts without judgment. Lessons learned help extract meaning from experiences, and actionable steps guide improvement. This structure ensures that reflection leads to tangible change rather than remaining an abstract mental exercise. Pay particular attention to moments of resistance or discomfort. These moments often reveal subconscious beliefs or limiting thought patterns that influence behavior. When you encounter negative emotions, hesitation or frustration, record them with detail. Identify the triggers, your internal response, and the impact on your actions. By confronting these patterns daily, you gain clarity on how mental habits either support or hinder progress, and you develop strategies to respond more effectively in future situations. Incorporate gratitude into your reflection routine. Identify at least one positive aspect of your day, a personal strength you demonstrated, or a lesson learned. Gratitude does not negate challenges or difficulties. Instead, it anchors reflection in reality and balance. Recognizing positive experiences reinforces constructive thought patterns, boosts emotional resilience, and creates a mindset oriented toward growth rather than criticism or self-doubt. Evaluate decisions objectively during reflection. Analyze choices made throughout the day and the reasoning behind them. Consider whether decisions aligned with your values and long-term goals. Assess whether fear, habit, or external influence played a role in the process. Understanding the factors that shape decisions builds self-awareness and allows you to make future choices based on intention rather than impulse or anxiety. Set aside a portion of your reflection to plan improvement. Identify one or two actionable steps to implement tomorrow that directly address insights from today. Focus on small, achievable adjustments rather than sweeping changes. Incremental improvements compound over time and create momentum toward mastery. Recording these steps in writing reinforces commitment and provides a clear guide for action when the next day begins. Use reflection to track progress over longer periods. Review previous journal entries weekly to identify recurring themes, patterns, and growth. This retrospective analysis highlights achievements that may go unnoticed in the moment and reveals persistent challenges that require ongoing attention. Long-term tracking strengthens self-awareness and ensures that daily reflection contributes to meaningful, sustained development. Incorporate self-questioning techniques to deepen the reflection process. Ask questions like, what did I learn about myself today? How did I handle challenges and emotions? What thoughts limited my effectiveness? What actions brought me closer to my goals? These questions shift the mind from passive observation to active analysis and reinforce the habit of seeking actionable insights from every experience. Combine reflection with accountability. Share your reflections or insights with a trusted mentor, friend, or coach who can provide perspective, challenge assumptions, and encourage progress. External accountability complements internal reflection by adding clarity, feedback, and reinforcement. Discussing insights verbally also strengthens the internalization of lessons and encourages deliberate application of improvements. Pay attention to language used in reflection. Replace vague or self-critical statements with precise, factual descriptions. Instead of saying, "I failed today," consider, "I faced challenges in completing X task and learned why about my approach." Language shapes perception, and using factual, constructive language during reflection ensures the mind focuses on growth rather than judgment or defeat. Use reflection to examine emotional patterns. Identify recurring triggers for stress, anxiety, or frustration, and note how they impact thought and behavior. Recognizing these patterns allows you to implement targeted strategies to manage emotional responses more effectively. Over time, this reduces reactive behavior, strengthens resilience, and enhances overall mental clarity. Integrate reflection with visualization of desired outcomes. While reviewing the day, imagine handling similar situations in the future with greater effectiveness, calm, and intention. This mental rehearsal reinforces learning, strengthens confidence, and conditions the mind to approach challenges with a solutions-oriented mindset. Visualization during reflection bridges the gap between insight and action. Prioritize honesty and vulnerability during reflection. Avoid minimizing challenges or exaggerating successes. The value of reflection lies in clear, objective assessment. Editing reality without distortion enables you to take responsibility for choices, recognize patterns accurately, and implement meaningful change. The more honest the reflection, the more actionable the insights. Develop a habit of noting lessons in real time when possible. Carry a small notebook or digital device to jot down observations immediately after key events. Immediate documentation ensures that insights are fresh, accurate, and specific. This practice complements formal reflection sessions and strengthens the habit of conscious awareness throughout the day. Use reflection to reinforce values and priorities. Evaluate whether actions align with core principles, long-term goals, and personal standards. Misalignment often produces internal conflict and mental fatigue. Daily examination of consistency with values allows for corrective action and ensures that behavior remains purposeful rather than reactive. Identify strengths demonstrated during the day. Recognize qualities such as perseverance, discipline, creativity, or empathy that contributed to successful outcomes. Focusing on strengths reinforces positive self-perception, builds confidence, and encourages continued application of these qualities in future actions. Strength recognition complements problem identification, creating a balanced reflection that fosters growth. Experiment with varied reflection formats. Some days use written journaling. Other days engage in verbal reflection, meditation, or audio recordings. Variety prevents stagnation and encourages deeper engagement with the process. Each format offers unique perspectives and ways of analyzing experiences, ensuring reflection remains a dynamic and effective habit. Finally, integrate reflection into a broader system of personal growth. Combine daily observation, analysis, gratitude, planning, and accountability to create a holistic approach. Reflection becomes a tool for continuous improvement, strengthening mental resilience, emotional intelligence, and purposeful action. Over time, consistent reflection rewires thought patterns, reduces reactive behavior, and transforms everyday experiences into opportunities for growth, clarity, and mastery. By committing to a structured reflection routine, the mind gains clarity, awareness, and direction. Each day becomes an opportunity to evaluate actions, recognize lessons, and plan deliberate improvements. The process strengthens self-discipline, enhances emotional regulation, and creates an evidence-based understanding of personal progress. Daily reflection is the foundation upon which confidence, resilience, and consistent personal growth are built, ensuring that every action contributes to becoming your best self. Chapter 6. Master constructive self-talk and stop harsh inner criticism today. The words you speak to yourself shape the life you live, and mastering constructive self-talk is the fastest way to transform doubt, fear, and hesitation into confidence, clarity, and action. Every negative comment you make in your mind is not a reflection of reality, but a habit that can be changed, retrained, and replaced with empowering statements that drive growth. The inner dialogue you cultivate determines how you respond to challenges, setbacks, and opportunities, and learning to guide that dialogue intentionally is one of the most practical and transformative habits you can develop. Constructive self-talk is not about ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect. It is about acknowledging reality while responding with clarity, solution-oriented focus, and encouragement that promotes action. Begin by observing your inner dialogue without judgment. For one full day, notice the thoughts that arise when challenges, mistakes, or uncertainty appear. Record what you hear yourself saying internally. Identify patterns of harsh criticism, self-doubt, or dismissive statements that undermine motivation. Awareness is the first step, because you cannot change what you do not recognize. By objectively noting the content, tone, and frequency of self-talk, you gain insight into the habitual narratives that either support or sabotage your progress. Next, challenge negative statements immediately. Each time a critical thought emerges, ask whether it is factual, exaggerated, or unhelpful. For example, if your mind says, "I always fail," respond with evidence of past successes or steps you can take to improve. Questioning the validity of harsh internal commentary weakens its power and shifts focus towards solutions rather than judgment. Constructive self-talk requires replacing reactionary, emotionally driven statements with rational, encouraging, and forward-looking alternatives. Create a list of positive, evidence-based affirmations that align with your real strengths and achievements. These statements should not be vague or abstract. They must be specific, believable, and actionable. Examples include, "I completed difficult tasks successfully before and I can do it again," or "I have skills that allow me to approach challenges with calm focus." Repeat these affirmations daily, especially during moments of self-doubt. Repetition strengthens neural pathways, gradually transforming the inner dialogue from criticism to encouragement. Use reframing techniques to convert negative thoughts into constructive alternatives. If your mind says, "I am not ready," reframe it to, "I am learning and taking steps that prepare me." If it says, "I always make mistakes," transform it into, "I can learn from this experience and improve." Reframing does not ignore difficulties. It acknowledges them while emphasizing action, growth, and competence. This practice trains your brain to respond to challenges with solutions instead of discouragement. Incorporate real-time reinforcement. Whenever you act successfully, handle a difficult situation well, or demonstrate skill, verbalize acknowledgement internally. Say, "I managed that effectively," or "I handled this challenge with focus and calm." Immediate recognition connects action with positive self-talk, reinforcing confidence and reducing the habit of belittling or dismissing achievements. Over time, this consistent reinforcement strengthens mental patterns that favor encouragement and resilience. Pair constructive self-talk with physical awareness. Negative self-talk often triggers tension, shallow breathing, or bodily stress responses. When critical thoughts arise, pause, take a deep breath, and consciously relax your muscles while reframing your internal dialogue. Combining physical relaxation with constructive mental statements amplifies the impact and strengthens the association between calm, focus, and positive internal communication. Use journaling as a tool to externalize and examine self-talk. Record instances of harsh internal criticism alongside alternative constructive statements. Documenting the process provides clarity, reinforces learning, and allows you to track progress. Reviewing past entries demonstrates the shift in mindset over time and provides tangible evidence that positive self-talk produces measurable improvement in confidence, decision-making, and resilience. Adopt a habitual check-in at key moments during the day. Before meetings, presentations, or challenging tasks, consciously assess your inner dialogue. Identify any negative thoughts and replace them with constructive, action-focused statements. This intentional practice reduces anxiety, enhances performance, and ensures your mind remains aligned with goals and priorities rather than being hijacked by self-doubt. Cultivate self-compassion as a cornerstone of constructive self-talk. Understand that mistakes, setbacks, and imperfections are part of growth. Respond to failures with understanding and guidance, rather than blame. For example, instead of saying, "I should have done better," say, "I can learn from this experience and improve my approach next time." Compassionate self-talk fosters resilience, maintains motivation, and strengthens long-term mental and emotional well-being. Engage in visualization to reinforce positive self-dialogue. While reflecting on challenges, imagine yourself speaking encouraging, solution-focused statements internally. Picture responding to difficult situations calmly, with clarity, and with an internal voice that supports progress. Visualization creates mental rehearsal that strengthens constructive self-talk, making it more automatic when real-life situations arise. Monitor and reduce comparisons to others during internal dialogue. Harsh self-talk often emerges when you evaluate yourself against external standards or perceived success of others. Instead, focus on your own progress, strengths, and actionable next steps. Comparing yourself to others fuels criticism. Focusing on personal growth fosters encouragement, confidence, and momentum. Constructive self-talk anchors self-worth in reality rather than perception or social comparison. Incorporate measurable feedback to reinforce internal statements. Track your successes, milestones, and improvements, and refer to this evidence during moments of doubt. For instance, when your mind says, "I am not capable," remind yourself of tasks you successfully completed or skills you have mastered. This factual reinforcement strengthens credibility of constructive self-talk, making it grounded in reality rather than wishful thinking. Use consistent morning and evening routines to practice constructive self-talk. Begin the day by setting an internal tone of encouragement and focus, and conclude the day by reflecting on successes and lessons learned. Morning preparation primes the mind for intentional action, while evening reflection consolidates learning and reinforces positive internal dialogue. Regular practice embeds these mental habits, creating a resilient foundation for self-mastery. Integrate constructive self-talk with problem-solving. When faced with a challenge, narrate internally in a supportive and strategic way, emphasizing steps and solutions rather than blame or fear. For example, I can handle this by focusing on the next step, or I have resources and skills to address this situation effectively. Combining encouragement with actionable guidance strengthens confidence and ensures the mind remains oriented towards solutions. Practice mindfulness to catch subtle forms of criticism. Negative self-talk is not always overt. It can appear as fleeting doubts, hesitation, or internal questioning. By cultivating awareness of thoughts in real time, you can identify these subtle patterns, pause and replace them with constructive statements. Mindfulness ensures the habit of positive self-dialogue permeates daily life, not just obvious moments of stress or challenge. Engage in dialogue with a trusted mentor or peer to model constructive self-talk. Observing how others articulate internal encouragement and problem-solving provides examples to emulate. Discuss strategies for replacing negative thoughts with supportive alternatives. Exposure to effective techniques reinforces mental training and provides additional perspective on handling self-criticism. Track triggers that provoke harsh self-talk. Identify situations, tasks, or emotional states that tend to elicit negative internal dialogue. Anticipating these triggers allows preemptive preparation of constructive statements and strategies. Over time, the mind learns to respond automatically with encouragement rather than criticism when encountering familiar challenges. Finally, integrate constructive self-talk as a lifelong habit. It is not a one-time intervention, but a continuous process of awareness, observation, questioning, and reinforcement. Consistency transforms the inner voice from a source of doubt and limitation into a powerful ally that motivates action, reinforces resilience, and supports sustained personal growth. Mastery over self-talk strengthens mental clarity, emotional regulation, and decision-making, creating a foundation for success and fulfillment in every area of life. Chapter 7. Cultivate gratitude habits that shift attention from problems to possibilities. Gratitude is the gateway to clarity, resilience, and the ability to see opportunity where others see obstacles. When attention is constantly drawn to problems, the mind becomes trapped in a cycle of frustration, negativity, and stagnation. Shifting focus toward what is working, what is present, and what can be appreciated rewires perception, allowing challenges to be approached with perspective, creativity, and energy. Gratitude is not about ignoring difficulties or pretending life is perfect. It is about training the mind to notice what is constructive, valuable, and actionable in every moment. By cultivating habits of gratitude, you transform daily experiences into a lens for possibility, insight, and momentum. Start by creating a daily gratitude ritual. Each morning or evening, write down at least 3 things you genuinely appreciate. These can range from concrete events, people, or achievements to abstract qualities such as patience, resilience, or clarity you demonstrated during the day. Specificity matters. Detailed entries anchor attention, solidify awareness, and reduce the mind's tendency to drift toward generic, automatic thinking. Over time, this structured practice rewires attention from scarcity to abundance, from limitation to potential. Observe the relationship between gratitude and attention. The more consistently you acknowledge what is going well, the less the mind becomes consumed with what is lacking or problematic. This does not eliminate awareness of challenges. Instead, it balances perception so that problems are seen with context rather than magnified by emotion. Gratitude acts as a stabilizing lens, highlighting resources, solutions, and strengths that might otherwise go unnoticed. Incorporate reflection into your gratitude practice. Beyond listing items, pause to explore why each one matters. Ask yourself how each aspect of your life contributes to growth, learning, or joy. Consider the effort, circumstances, or choices that made it possible. This depth of reflection transforms simple acknowledgement into meaningful insight, enhancing appreciation and reinforcing mental patterns that prioritize constructive focus. Pair gratitude with visualization to enhance perspective. While noting what you are thankful for, imagine how life would be without these elements. Consider the impact of people, opportunities, or personal strengths being absent. This exercise strengthens recognition of value, fosters humility, and increases awareness of resources and abilities that can be leveraged to address challenges effectively. Visualization amplifies the emotional and cognitive impact of gratitude. Use gratitude to reframe challenges. Instead of seeing obstacles as purely negative, identify aspects that offer learning, skill development, or clarity. Ask, what opportunity does this situation provide, or how can I use this difficulty to grow? Integrating gratitude with reframing shifts mental energy from resistance to action, enabling solutions-focused thinking while maintaining emotional balance. Cultivate real-time gratitude throughout the day. Rather than restricting practice to a fixed ritual, notice small positive details as they occur. A supportive conversation, a moment of calm, an effective decision, or a minor success all deserve recognition. Catching these moments in real time prevents the mind from slipping into habitual negativity and strengthens the natural ability to notice opportunities and resources continuously. Combine gratitude with deliberate attention to strengths. When acknowledging what you appreciate, include personal qualities, skills, and capabilities that allowed you to navigate challenges successfully. Recognizing inner resources reinforces confidence and positions the mind to act with clarity and purpose, rather than being paralyzed by doubt or frustration. Strength-focused gratitude encourages action, grounded in reality and self-efficacy. Engage in gratitude dialogue with others. Expressing appreciation verbally or in writing reinforces positive focus, strengthens relationships, and creates a feedback loop that enhances awareness. Sharing gratitude externally amplifies its effect internally, as verbalizing value and acknowledgement deepens emotional resonance and reinforces habitual recognition of what matters most. Integrate gratitude with problem-solving habits. When confronted with a difficult situation, identify elements within your control and aspects of the situation that are already working. Acknowledge progress made, resources available, and skills that can be applied. This approach fosters optimism, grounded in reality, turning obstacles into actionable opportunities and promoting a mindset that is oriented towards solutions rather than complaints. Use gratitude to counteract comparison and envy. When attention drifts toward what others have or what seems missing in your life, redirect focus to what is present and valuable in your own circumstances. Recognizing unique strengths, experiences, and resources cultivates contentment, reduces mental friction, and enhances the ability to make intentional, growth-oriented decisions without distraction from envy or scarcity thinking. Combine gratitude with journaling insights about lessons learned. Each day, note not only what you appreciate, but also how experiences, even difficult ones, contribute to growth. Documenting lessons alongside positive recognition integrates reflection with gratitude, creating a framework for continuous improvement, resilience, and practical application of insights in real-world situations. Anchor gratitude practice in sensory awareness. Notice the sights, sounds, smells, tastes, and tactile experiences that bring value or enjoyment. Paying attention to sensory details strengthens presence, deepens appreciation, and counters the mind's habit of focusing on abstract worries or imagined problems. Sensory engagement grounds gratitude in reality, making it more tangible and impactful. Use gratitude to build momentum for daily action. When the mind recognizes the positive aspects of a situation, energy and motivation increase. Gratitude reinforces belief in capability, resources, and potential for growth, providing the psychological fuel to take action, solve problems, and pursue meaningful goals. Recognizing what is already working amplifies readiness to engage effectively with challenges. Incorporate accountability into gratitude practice. Share your insights, appreciation, or reflections with a trusted partner or mentor. External reinforcement encourages consistency, validates observations, and provides additional perspective. Accountability strengthens the habit and ensures gratitude is not merely passive acknowledgement, but an active habit-forming practice that influences decision-making, focus, and mindset. Explore gratitude for personal effort and intention. Acknowledge the steps you took, the persistence demonstrated, or the resilience shown in the face of challenges. Recognizing personal contribution reinforces self-efficacy, reduces harsh self-criticism, and aligns mental focus toward deliberate action and growth. Effort-based gratitude strengthens the connection between intentional behavior and positive outcomes. Practice gratitude for obstacles and setbacks. Identify aspects of difficulty that provide insight, resilience, or opportunity to improve processes. This mindset reframes adversity as a resource for growth, rather than a source of frustration, creating a mental framework oriented toward learning and problem-solving. By acknowledging value in challenges, the mind shifts from victimhood to empowerment. Integrate gratitude into planning. When setting goals or preparing for tasks, identify elements that can support success, resources available, and strengths that can be applied. Recognizing these factors enhances confidence, clarifies priorities, and ensures that attention remains focused on actionable opportunities rather than perceived limitations. Gratitude becomes a tool for proactive preparation. Use gratitude to reduce rumination. When repetitive negative thoughts arise, intentionally focus on aspects of life, accomplishments, or skills that bring value. Redirecting attention interrupts cycles of worry and fosters a mental habit of noticing possibilities and solutions rather than problems and obstacles. Consistent application reduces the grip of habitual negativity and enhances emotional stability. Finally, integrate gratitude as a daily lifestyle practice. It is not limited to rituals or journaling, but becomes an ongoing lens through which experiences are perceived, interpreted, and acted upon. Consistent application transforms mindset, enhances resilience, supports decision-making, and creates the mental conditions for recognizing opportunities even amid challenges. Gratitude is a practical habit that shifts attention from what is lacking to what is possible, from stagnation to action, and from limitation to growth. By cultivating gratitude habits consistently, the mind learns to focus on resources, possibilities, and positive action. Challenges become opportunities, small successes gain recognition, and attention shifts from problems to solutions. Daily gratitude builds resilience, reinforces constructive thought patterns, and creates a stable foundation for proactive, confident, and purpose-driven living. Each practice strengthens the ability to act decisively, respond calmly, and consistently transform everyday experiences into sources of insight, motivation, and growth. Chapter 8. Eliminate mental clutter by setting clear boundaries for your focus. Focus is a skill and clarity is a choice, and learning to eliminate mental clutter is the first step to mastering both. A mind overwhelmed with thoughts, distractions, and unfinished tasks cannot function at its highest level, and productivity, creativity, and calmness all suffer when mental clutter accumulates unchecked. Setting clear boundaries for attention is not about isolation or avoidance. It is about consciously controlling what enters your mind and how your mental energy is allocated. Every thought, task, and interaction that occupies your focus consumes cognitive resources, and without boundaries, you risk wasting energy on the unnecessary, the irrelevant, and the unproductive. The ability to prioritize and protect attention is a decisive factor in achieving meaningful progress and maintaining emotional stability. Begin by identifying sources of mental clutter. Make a list of all recurring thoughts, worries, tasks, or distractions that consume your attention without producing actionable results. Include digital distractions, social noise, overcommitments, and habitual ruminations. Awareness is essential because you cannot manage what is not visible. Observing these sources without judgment establishes a baseline and highlights areas where boundaries are necessary. Next, implement time-based boundaries. Allocate specific blocks of time for focused work, reflection, and leisure. During these periods, eliminate interruptions such as social media, notifications, or non-essential communications. Consistently respecting time boundaries trains the mind to enter deeper states of concentration and reduces the mental fragmentation caused by constant switching between tasks. Scheduling intentional focus periods transforms attention from scattered to deliberate and ensures mental energy is spent on meaningful activities. Use spatial boundaries to support mental clarity. Organize your workspace to minimize physical distractions. Clear surfaces of unnecessary items, arrange tools and resources for easy access, and create a dedicated area for work or reflection. Physical clutter directly impacts mental clutter. A well-structured environment reinforces the mind's ability to maintain focus and minimizes cognitive overload caused by visual or environmental chaos. Prioritize tasks with intention. Not all tasks have equal value or urgency, and attempting to handle everything simultaneously produces stress and mental clutter. Each day, identify high-priority activities that align with goals and values and commit focused attention to those first. Use lists, planners, or digital tools to externalize commitments and free mental space. Prioritization creates clarity about what deserves attention and reduces the feeling of being overwhelmed by competing demands. Learn to say no deliberately. Mental clutter often arises from overcommitment or lack of boundaries with others. Declining requests, setting limits, and protecting time for essential priorities are acts of self-respect and strategic focus. Saying no is not rejection of people, it is acceptance of your own goals and the necessary conditions for mental clarity. Protecting attention from unnecessary obligations strengthens the ability to concentrate on tasks that truly matter. Incorporate mental decluttering routines. Daily reflection, journaling, or meditation can help identify persistent worries, distractions, or unproductive thought patterns. Capture these elements in writing and address them consciously rather than allowing them to circulate endlessly in the mind. Externalizing concerns provides relief and ensures that focus is directed toward actionable items rather than unstructured rumination. Implement digital boundaries to prevent attention fragmentation. Limit time spent on email, social media, and non-essential notifications. Set specific intervals for checking messages and turn off alerts outside these periods. Technology often intrudes on mental space and divides attention unnecessarily. Boundaries with digital tools restore control, allowing the mind to concentrate on intentional activities rather than reacting to constant external stimulation. Practice single tasking to strengthen mental focus. Multitasking may feel productive, but it fragments attention and produces cognitive fatigue. Concentrate on one activity at a time, completing it fully before moving on. Single tasking fosters deeper engagement, enhances quality of work, and trains the mind to resist distraction, reducing the accumulation of mental clutter from unfinished or divided efforts. Develop clear mental categories for thoughts and tasks. Allocate specific internal spaces for planning, problem-solving, creative work, and personal reflection. When thoughts arise outside of their appropriate category, note them briefly and return to the primary focus. Categorization prevents mental overload by ensuring that energy is not wasted on juggling unrelated concerns simultaneously. Structured thinking enhances clarity and decision-making. Use visualization to reinforce boundaries. Imagine creating walls or clear channels for your attention, directing energy only toward chosen priorities. Mental rehearsal strengthens the habit of intentional focus and reminds the mind of the purpose behind every choice. Visualization pairs abstract boundary setting with concrete mental practice, reinforcing consistency and precision in attention management. Incorporate regular breaks to reset cognitive load. Short pauses between focused work sessions prevent fatigue and maintain mental clarity. Use these intervals for light movement, deep breathing, or brief reflection. Strategic breaks prevent clutter from building and allow the mind to recharge, returning to tasks with renewed concentration and reduced mental noise. Recognize emotional triggers that contribute to clutter. Stress, anxiety, or unresolved conflicts often produce intrusive thoughts that occupy attention unnecessarily. Address emotional concerns proactively through reflection, problem-solving, or discussion with trusted individuals. Managing emotional sources of clutter enhances focus and prevents unnecessary mental energy from being consumed by internal disturbances. Establish routines for processing incomplete tasks. When responsibilities are left unresolved, the mind continuously revisits them, generating mental noise. Create a system for capturing, organizing, and scheduling tasks so that they can be handled methodically. Externalizing and structuring obligations prevents them from lingering in consciousness and consuming attention needed for high-priority activities. Practice mindful attention to the present moment. Mental clutter often arises from preoccupation with the past or future. Focus fully on the current task, experience, or interaction. Mindfulness trains the mind to allocate energy effectively, reduces distractions, and strengthens cognitive control. Being fully present transforms mental space from chaotic to intentional, enhancing productivity and clarity. Incorporate physical wellness to support mental clarity. Sleep, nutrition, hydration, and movement directly affect cognitive function and attention management. A fatigued, undernourished, or sedentary body contributes to mental clutter through fatigue, distraction, and impaired concentration. Maintaining physical health establishes a foundation for sustained focus and mental organization. Engage in mental decluttering exercises regularly. Take brief moments during the day to scan your thoughts. Identify unnecessary concerns and consciously release them. This practice trains the mind to self-regulate, ensuring attention remains on priorities rather than being hijacked by irrelevant mental noise. Mental decluttering is an ongoing process that strengthens awareness and control. Develop accountability structures for focus. Share goals, priorities, and boundaries with trusted peers or mentors who can support adherence. External reinforcement encourages discipline, provides perspective, and reinforces the importance of maintaining attention on high-value activities. Accountability strengthens both motivation and consistency in mental boundary-setting practices. Re-evaluate boundaries periodically to maintain effectiveness. As goals, environments, and responsibility evolve, mental clutter can re-emerge if boundaries are static. Review time, space, task, and digital limits, regularly and adjust as needed to reflect current priorities. Adaptive boundary management ensures the mind remains clear, focused, and capable of sustained high-level performance. Finally, integrate boundary setting into a lifestyle of deliberate focus. Consistency, self-awareness, and proactive management of attention prevent the accumulation of mental clutter, enhance cognitive efficiency, and strengthen emotional stability. By consciously controlling what occupies your mind and structuring space, time, and tasks for optimal focus, you create mental conditions that support sustained growth, resilience, and achievement. Clear boundaries transform scattered energy into purposeful action, allowing the mind to operate with precision, calm, and effectiveness in every area of life. Chapter 9. Reframe setbacks as lessons and plan practical next steps. Setbacks are not failures, they are opportunities to learn, grow, and move forward with greater clarity and strength. Every obstacle presents information about where adjustments are needed, which choices were effective, and what strategies require improvement. Reframing setbacks as lessons transforms frustration into insight and prevents stagnation caused by dwelling on what went wrong. The mind that interprets difficulties as temporary and instructive develops resilience, focus, and the ability to respond intentionally to future challenges. Understanding the lessons embedded in every setback creates a practical roadmap for improvement and empowers action rather than resignation. Begin by accepting reality fully without resistance. Denial or blame extends the impact of setbacks by keeping attention on frustration rather than analysis. Observe the situation objectively and note the facts without exaggeration or distortion. Identify what occurred, what factors were within your control, and which elements were external. This clarity forms the foundation for extracting meaningful lessons and planning practical next steps. Analyze decisions and actions that led to the outcome. Ask what worked, what didn't, and why. Look at each step critically, but without harsh judgment. Understanding the sequence of choices and their consequences helps reveal patterns and insights that can guide future behavior. Reflection rooted in facts rather than emotion prevents repeated mistakes and strengthens decision-making. Separate emotion from evaluation. It is natural to feel disappointment, frustration, or anger when things go wrong, but dwelling on feelings without action prolongs stagnation. Name the emotions present, acknowledge them, and then redirect focus to understanding and solutions. This separation enhances clarity and creates mental space to plan effective responses instead of being trapped in reactive thinking. Extract specific lessons from each setback. Consider what new knowledge you gained about your strengths, weaknesses, processes, or environment. Identify adjustments needed in skills, approach, or mindset to improve future outcomes. Writing these lessons down solidifies understanding and provides a reference for continuous growth. Lessons turn experiences into a roadmap for improvement and make setbacks functional rather than purely disruptive. Translate lessons into concrete next steps. Avoid vague intentions such as "do better next time" and focus on actionable items. Break improvements into small, manageable tasks with clear outcomes and timelines. Defining specific next steps converts insight into movement and ensures that learning translates into measurable progress. Each step should be realistic, achievable, and directly informed by the lessons extracted. Adopt a proactive mindset when planning next steps. Focus on what can be controlled rather than what cannot. Identify resources, support, and strategies available to address similar situations effectively in the future. Emphasize preparation, adaptation, and incremental progress. Action grounded in control and opportunity fosters confidence and reduces the likelihood of repeating setbacks. Review patterns across multiple setbacks. When similar challenges recur, take note of recurring factors or behaviors that contribute to difficulties. Recognizing systemic patterns allows you to implement preventive measures, develop skills, or adjust approaches before encountering similar obstacles again. Pattern recognition strengthens foresight and creates sustainable improvement habits. Integrate accountability into the learning process. Share insights, lessons, and next steps with a trusted mentor, colleague, or friend. External accountability encourages follow-through, provides perspective, and reinforces the habit of deliberate response to setbacks. Discussing challenges openly also reduces mental burden and enhances clarity about actionable solutions. Reframe internal language when confronting setbacks. Replace statements like "I failed" with "this experience taught me something important," or "I have the opportunity to improve." Language shapes perception and emotional response. Constructive wording enhances motivation and reduces self-limiting beliefs. Positive reframing strengthens resilience and reinforces growth-oriented thinking. Implement reflection immediately after setbacks. Prompt evaluation, while details are fresh, ensures accuracy and depth in understanding. Avoid postponing analysis, as delayed reflection risks distorted recollection or avoidance. Early examination preserves lessons and accelerates planning for practical next steps. Immediate reflection embeds a habit of learning and action in real-time experiences. Incorporate feedback from others. Seek insights from those affected by or knowledgeable about the situation. External perspectives can illuminate blind spots, reveal alternative strategies, and validate lessons derived. Integrating feedback complements self-analysis and creates a more comprehensive understanding of causes and solutions. Maintain a balance between acceptance and effort. Accept that setbacks occur while committing to improvement and forward action. Avoid fatalism or passivity. Acceptance without effort leads to stagnation, while action without reflection repeats mistakes. This balance fosters adaptability, emotional resilience, and consistent growth. Visualize successful application of lessons. Imagine responding to similar challenges with improved strategies, clarity, and confidence. Mental rehearsal strengthens neural pathways that support competent action under pressure. Visualization bridges insight and execution and reinforces a mindset oriented toward solutions rather than problems. Use setbacks as a benchmark for progress. Track frequency, severity, and nature of obstacles over time. Notice how lessons implemented influence outcomes. Observing improvement reinforces confidence, validates learning processes, and demonstrates tangible growth, transforming setbacks into markers of development rather than failures. Practice gratitude for insights gained from challenges. Recognize that every difficulty contains information that accelerates skill development, self-awareness, and problem-solving. Gratitude does not negate disappointment. It amplifies constructive focus and encourages proactive engagement with future opportunities. Appreciating lessons cultivates resilience and positive momentum. Apply incremental adjustments rather than seeking perfection. Implement small, actionable changes informed by lessons learned and monitor results. Incremental progress reduces overwhelm, reinforces learning, and builds a sustainable approach to improvement. Small adjustments compound over time to create substantial growth and increased competence. Document lessons and next steps consistently. Maintain a dedicated record of setbacks, insights, and actionable plans. Refer back to these notes when facing similar challenges to ensure application of learning and prevent repetition of mistakes. Documentation creates continuity, accountability, and a practical reference system for ongoing improvement. Integrate mindset shifts alongside practical adjustments. Reflect on assumptions, beliefs, and attitudes that contributed to setbacks. Align mental approach with desired outcomes, reinforcing resilience, focus, and adaptability. Mindset adjustment ensures that lessons are internalized and embedded in behavior, not only in process or strategy. Use setbacks as motivation rather than deterrence. Recognize that each challenge provides opportunity to strengthen capability, confidence, and wisdom. Internalize the understanding that growth is proportional to challenge. This perspective transforms adversity into fuel for persistence, engagement, and consistent progress. Finally, commit to continuous application. Learning from setbacks is not a one-time activity, but an ongoing cycle of reflection, insight, planning, and action. Each obstacle becomes a building block for competence, clarity, and confidence. By consistently reframing setbacks as lessons and translating them into practical next steps, the mind develops resilience, the body responds with focused effort, and the path toward personal growth becomes structured, intentional, and unstoppable. Chapter 10. Strengthen emotional resilience through small, consistent daily recovery practices. Emotional resilience is not a trait reserved for a few. It is a skill that can be cultivated daily through small, consistent practices that strengthen the mind, stabilize emotions, and increase capacity to respond effectively to life's challenges. Life will inevitably present stress, setbacks, and unexpected events, but the way you recover, adapt, and maintain composure determines the quality of your growth, decisions, and overall well-being. Resilience is built through deliberate, repeated actions that reinforce balance, self-awareness, and mental endurance, allowing you to remain functional, focused, and proactive even in the face of difficulty. Developing this capacity requires commitment, patience, and daily exercises that condition the mind and body to respond to stress with stability rather than chaos. Begin each day with intentional grounding practices, taking a few moments upon waking to focus on breathing, set intentions, or acknowledge your emotional state creates a stable starting point for the day. Recognizing your feelings early allows conscious regulation instead of reactive escalation. Simple practices such as deep breathing, counting breaths, or noticing bodily sensations strengthen awareness and control over emotional responses before stresses accumulate. Incorporate micro-recovery moments throughout the day. These are short intervals dedicated to pausing, resetting, and recentering attention. Stepping away from a stressful environment for even a minute or two, engaging in controlled breathing, or observing surroundings with mindfulness reduces accumulated tension. Frequent small recoveries prevent overwhelm and reinforce the brain's ability to transition from stress to composure repeatedly, creating resilience over time. Develop a practice of observing thoughts without attachment. When emotions arise, identify the feelings present and note them without judgment. Separating yourself from automatic reactions allows clarity in decision-making and prevents impulsive responses driven by anger, fear, or frustration. Labeling emotions with simple language, such as anger is present or anxiety is occurring, creates distance, reducing intensity and increasing capacity to act deliberately. Establish routines that support consistent emotional recovery. Consistency strengthens neurological pathways and trains the mind to respond predictably to stress. Dedicate time each day for reflection, meditation, journaling, or mindfulness exercises. Even brief, focused sessions produce cumulative benefits by conditioning the nervous system to adapt, regulate, and restore equilibrium in the face of challenges. Use physical activity to support emotional resilience. Exercise, stretching, or movement releases tension, reduces stress hormones, and improves cognitive function. Integrating movement into daily routines, even in small increments, strengthens the mind-body connection, enhances mood stability, and improves the ability to recover from emotionally challenging events. Consistent movement builds a foundation of energy and focus that supports effective emotional regulation. Incorporate gratitude into recovery practices. After challenging experiences, pause to identify one or two aspects of the situation or your own response that you appreciate. Focusing on positive elements does not negate difficulty but provides perspective, reducing emotional intensity and shifting attention toward constructive thinking. Regular gratitude practices reinforce resilience by creating mental space for adaptive responses rather than reactive fixation on negatives. Implement deliberate reflection at the end of each day. Review events that elicited emotional responses and examine how you handled them. Identify moments of strength, effective coping, or learning opportunities. Writing these reflections reinforces awareness, allows identification of patterns, and provides guidance for improving reactions in future situations. Daily reflection transforms isolated experiences into structured opportunities for emotional growth. Use visualization to prepare for stressful situations. Mentally rehearsing challenges while imagining calm, focused, and controlled responses strengthens the brain's capacity to handle adversity. Visualization creates familiarity with difficult scenarios, reducing shock or panic when actual events occur. Practicing effective responses in advance builds confidence and prepares the mind to recover quickly from setbacks. Incorporate self-compassion as a key recovery tool. Recognize that emotional reactions are natural and human. Avoid harsh self-criticism and instead acknowledge effort, intention, and growth. Statements such as "I handled this as best I could," or "I can learn from this experience," create an internal environment that supports resilience, reduces stress, and enhances future recovery. Compassion strengthens emotional endurance by replacing judgment with understanding and proactive adjustment. Set boundaries to protect emotional energy. Avoid overexposure to toxic situations, excessive stimulation, or relationships that consistently drain focus and stability. Clear boundaries prevent unnecessary emotional depletion and create space to practice recovery, reflection, and self-regulation. Protecting attention and energy ensures resilience is applied where it produces meaningful impact rather than being squandered on distractions or negativity. Engage in problem-solving as part of recovery. After experiencing difficulty, identify actionable steps to improve or adjust approaches. Focusing on concrete actions shifts the mind from rumination to constructive behavior, reducing emotional intensity and reinforcing a sense of control. Resilience grows when recovery is paired with proactive solutions rather than passive reflection alone. Practice breath-based resets during moments of heightened emotion. Techniques such as slow inhalations and exhalations, box breathing, or counting breaths activate the parasympathetic nervous system, reducing tension and restoring mental clarity. These exercises can be executed anywhere, providing immediate tools to regain balance, maintain focus, and respond intentionally. Track emotional triggers to increase self-awareness. Document situations, thoughts, or events that provoke strong emotional responses. Understanding patterns allows preemptive strategies to mitigate impact, anticipate reactions, and employ recovery practices proactively. Insight into triggers transforms potential vulnerability into manageable awareness, strengthening overall resilience. Integrate sensory awareness into recovery routines. Engaging the senses through focused observation, listening, or tactile engagement anchors attention in the present moment, reducing rumination on past or future stresses. Sensory grounding techniques provide immediate stabilization, fostering composure and creating opportunities for deliberate reflection or problem solving. Create accountability structures to reinforce recovery practices. Share strategies, reflections, or insights with a mentor, friend, or coach who can provide guidance, encouragement, and perspective. External accountability supports consistency, ensures application, and reduces the likelihood of neglecting recovery habits during busy or stressful periods. Adopt incremental improvements rather than seeking immediate mastery. Emotional resilience is cultivated over time through repeated practice. Small, consistent adjustments in behavior, thought patterns, and routines compound, producing substantial growth. Patience and consistency strengthen both the mental and physiological foundations of recovery, ensuring long-term stability and adaptability. Incorporate supportive rituals before sleep. Evening routines such as journaling, reflection, or mindfulness prepare the mind to release accumulated tension and enter restorative rest. Quality sleep consolidates learning, regulates mood, and enhances recovery capacity. Integrating rituals ensures that each day concludes with intentional restoration and prepares for continued resilience tomorrow. Combine emotional recovery practices with physical wellness habits. Nutrition, hydration, and rest directly influence emotional regulation. A well-supported body maintains energy, mental clarity, and stress tolerance. Consistent care of physical needs amplifies the effectiveness of recovery practices, creating a holistic foundation for sustained resilience. Use affirmations to reinforce adaptive emotional responses. Constructive statements such as, "I can recover from challenges calmly," or "I handle stress with focus and clarity," create neural pathways that support composure, proactive thinking, and mental endurance. Repeating affirmations consistently integrates resilience into daily thought patterns and strengthens self-efficacy in difficult situations. Finally, integrate all practices into a cohesive daily routine. Emotional resilience develops most effectively when grounding, reflection, mindfulness, movement, gratitude, problem-solving, and self-compassion are applied consistently and deliberately. Over time, small repeated practices create profound capacity for recovery, maintain mental and emotional stability under stress, and enable proactive engagement with life's challenges. Consistency builds strength, confidence, and adaptability, transforming emotional resilience from a reactive response into a dependable skill that supports growth, achievement, and long-term well-being. Chapter 11. Design supportive environments that reduce triggers and boost calm. Creating an environment that supports focus, calm, and growth is one of the most powerful tools for transforming your mindset and daily experience. The spaces we inhabit profoundly influence thoughts, emotions, and behavior, often without our conscious awareness. Clutter, noise, poor organization, and negative associations create constant mental friction that drains energy and reduces capacity to think clearly, act intentionally, and maintain emotional stability. Conversely, intentionally designed spaces promote productivity, focus, calm, and the consistent reinforcement of positive habits. Every detail of your environment can either trigger stress or support resilience, and taking control over these factors strengthens your ability to navigate challenges and sustain well-being. Start by identifying sources of environmental stress. Observe your surroundings and note anything that consistently triggers irritation, distraction, or negative emotions. This could include cluttered areas, poorly lit spaces, chaotic schedules, or frequent interruptions. Awareness of triggers is the first step to removing or mitigating them. Understanding which elements in your environment impede focus or calm allows for deliberate adjustments that enhance mental and emotional performance. Simplify spaces to reduce cognitive load. Cluttered physical environments increase mental clutter and create constant background stress. Remove items that are not essential for daily function. Organize workspaces for accessibility and designate clear areas for specific activities such as work, rest, and recreation. Simplification encourages clarity, supports attention, and minimizes distractions that interfere with decision-making and productivity. Control sensory inputs strategically. Light, sound, and temperature significantly influence focus and calm. Adjust lighting to be sufficient but not harsh. Reduce background noise and maintain comfortable room temperatures. When possible, introduce elements that support relaxation such as soft lighting, natural sounds, or calming scents. Sensory regulation enhances emotional stability, reduces stress responses, and supports sustained concentration. Create zones for specific activities, assigning spaces for particular functions such as work, reflection, exercise, or relaxation trains the mind to associate environments with the intended mental state. When entering a designated area, the brain cues appropriate behaviors, facilitating focus and reducing the tendency for emotional or cognitive drift. Clear functional zoning streamlines attention and reinforces habit formation. Eliminate unnecessary digital distractions. Identify devices, notifications, or online content that interfere with mental clarity and calm. Implement boundaries such as scheduled check-ins, silent modes, or dedicated offline periods. Reducing digital clutter prevents constant interruption, preserves mental energy, and allows intentional engagement with tasks rather than reaction to external stimulation. Incorporate natural elements where possible. Plants, natural light, and views of the outdoors improve mood, reduce stress, and enhance cognitive performance. Exposure to nature has measurable effects on mental resilience and emotional regulation. Integrating these elements creates a supportive environment that promotes calm focus and sustained well-being. Use organization systems to maintain clarity. Utilize storage solutions, labeled compartments, and structured schedules to keep both physical and mental spaces orderly. Predictable organization reduces uncertainty and decision fatigue, freeing cognitive resources for productive thinking and calm problem-solving. Well-maintained systems prevent accumulation of distractions and support consistent performance. Develop routines that reinforce environmental support. Daily habits, such as tidying workspaces, preparing materials in advance, or setting boundaries around noise and interruptions, strengthen the impact of a supportive environment. Consistency ensures that the benefits of well-designed spaces are realized continuously rather than intermittently. Routines anchor physical and mental environments to desired outcomes such as focus, calm, and productivity. Integrate cues for positive behavior. Place reminders of goals, motivational messages, or inspirational objects in visible areas to reinforce intention and focus. Visual cues help direct attention, encourage perseverance, and maintain clarity of purpose throughout the day. Strategically positioned cues strengthen the connection between environment and desired mental or emotional states. Reduce exposure to negative triggers. Identify people, content, or situations that consistently provoke stress, distraction, or negative thinking. Limit interaction, create boundaries, or restructure engagement to minimize impact. Protecting attention and emotional energy from predictable sources of disruption supports resilience and reinforces calm. Controlled exposure prevents unnecessary depletion of focus and mental bandwidth. Cultivate comfort and ergonomics. Ensure seating, desk height, and posture support reduce physical stress and fatigue. Comfort influences cognitive performance, emotional stability, and the ability to sustain engagement in tasks. Investing in physical well-being within your environment creates conditions conducive to both mental clarity and emotional resilience. Implement zones for relaxation and recovery. Designate spaces for rest, reflection, or meditation to support recovery from cognitive or emotional load. Access to restorative areas encourages short breaks that prevent fatigue, enhance focus, and maintain a stable mindset. Strategic placement of recovery zones allows for immediate relief during high-demand periods, reinforcing consistent resilience. Leverage color and design to influence mood. Calming tones, minimalistic designs, and organized layouts reduce stress and promote clarity. Environment aesthetics impact emotional states subconsciously and can be used to encourage calm, focus, and creativity. Thoughtful design integrates psychological principles to enhance mental and emotional performance naturally. Integrate accountability structures within your environment. Shared spaces, visible commitments, or collaborative setups can reinforce productive behavior and reduce tendencies toward distraction or procrastination. Environmental cues tied to accountability increase the likelihood of adherence to routines and objectives, supporting both focus and calm. Adopt flexible arrangements to support adaptation. While structure is essential, environments must accommodate change to prevent frustration. Adjustable spaces, movable furniture, or adaptable workflows allow rapid modification to support emerging priorities without compromising clarity or composure. Flexibility ensures environments remain supportive under varying demands. Maintain air quality and cleanliness. Fresh air, proper ventilation, and hygiene contribute to cognitive function, emotional stability, and energy levels. A clean environment reduces unconscious stress and promotes mental comfort, supporting consistent focus and calm decision-making. Small adjustments in maintenance create significant benefits in overall performance and resilience. Create visual boundaries to segment tasks. Using walls, dividers, or designated areas to separate work from leisure reduces mental interference and strengthens task-specific attention. Clear visual separation cues the brain to adopt appropriate mental states, increasing efficiency and emotional stability during different activities. Monitor and adapt environmental triggers. Periodically reassess spaces for new sources of distraction, stress, or inefficiency. Modify lighting, layout, sound control, or decor to maintain optimal conditions. Continuous adaptation ensures the environment evolves alongside personal growth and changing demands, preserving its supportive function over time. Combine environmental adjustments with personal habits. Physical design alone is insufficient without complementary behaviors, such as mindful attention, routine maintenance, and deliberate focus. Integration of environment and personal discipline amplifies effectiveness, creating synergy between space and action. Habitual alignment ensures consistent mental and emotional benefits from supportive surroundings. Finally, recognize that your environment is a strategic tool for growth and well-being. Every decision regarding space organization, sensory inputs, routines, and boundaries contributes to the ability to maintain focus, reduce stress, and respond effectively to challenges. By intentionally designing surroundings that reduce triggers and promote calm, you create conditions where mental clarity, emotional resilience, and productive action become natural outcomes. Supportive environments do not replace effort, but enhance it, providing consistent reinforcement for the habits, mindset, and practices that drive long-term personal and professional success. Chapter 12. Commit to imperfect progress and measure growth, not perfection. Progress is far more valuable than perfection, and committing to consistent improvement, even when imperfect, is the most reliable way to achieve meaningful and lasting growth. Waiting for flawless conditions or flawless performance keeps potential locked away, while taking action despite imperfection creates momentum, builds skills, and strengthens confidence. Growth emerges from repeated attempts, adjustments, and learning cycles, not from an unattainable standard of perfection. Each step forward, no matter how small or incomplete, compounds into substantial progress over time, and the mindset of valuing effort and learning over flawless execution transforms both results and personal resilience. Begin by redefining success as forward movement rather than flawless execution. Focus on measurable actions, achievements, or insights gained rather than a rigid, idealized outcome. When progress becomes the benchmark, the mind shifts from fear of failure to recognition of opportunity, making it easier to take consistent action and embrace challenges. Success is better evaluated through improvement, learning, and adaptation than through unattainable perfection. Break goals into manageable steps. Large objectives often appear overwhelming, and perfectionistic tendencies amplify avoidance. By dividing tasks into smaller, actionable steps, the focus is placed on what can be done immediately rather than the entire end goal. Small achievements accumulate into significant progress, and the experience of completion reinforces motivation and confidence. Incremental steps create consistency that perfectionism cannot achieve. Track progress consistently. Use journals, spreadsheets, or digital tools to record completed actions, skills developed, or knowledge gained. Monitoring growth provides tangible evidence of improvement, reinforces motivation, and shifts focus from what remains imperfect to what has already been accomplished. Seeing progress clearly allows for objective evaluation and encourages continued commitment to action. Embrace mistakes as feedback, not failure. Errors provide invaluable information about what works and what requires adjustment. Analyzing missteps with curiosity rather than judgment transforms setbacks into learning opportunities. Each mistake informs the next step, and repeated cycles of trial and refinement produce mastery and competence more effectively than striving for error-free performance. Adjust expectations to align with realistic conditions. Perfectionism often inflates expectations, leading to stress, procrastination, and discouragement. Evaluate resources, time, and context to establish attainable targets. Working within realistic boundaries ensures progress remains achievable and sustainable while reducing the psychological burden of impossible standards. Realistic expectations promote consistency and prevent burnout. Focus on effort and persistence rather than flawless outcomes. Daily actions, consistency, and persistence are the true drivers of growth. When energy is directed towards steady effort, skills develop, confidence strengthens, and the capacity to handle increasingly complex challenges increases. Valuing persistence over perfection fosters resilience and empowers continuous improvement. Reframe internal dialogue to reinforce growth orientation. Replace statements like "I failed" with "I am learning and improving," or "this step adds to my progress." Language shapes perception and emotional response, and adopting constructive phrasing encourages risk-taking, experimentation, and a mindset oriented towards solutions rather than self-criticism. Positive self-talk fuels resilience and action. Celebrate small wins. Recognizing even minor improvements reinforces the habit of taking action, reduces discouragement, and strengthens confidence. Acknowledging progress shifts attention from what is incomplete to what is achieved, creating positive feedback loops that motivate further effort. Small victories accumulate and compound into substantial accomplishments over time. Separate personal value from performance outcomes. Self-worth should not be tied exclusively to results or flawlessness. Recognize that attempting, learning, and adjusting reflects courage, discipline, and dedication. Internalizing this understanding reduces fear of imperfection and supports consistent engagement with challenging tasks, increasing the likelihood of long-term success. Apply iterative refinement to tasks and goals. View each attempt as a prototype that can be improved over time. Completing an imperfect version provides information clarity and momentum for future adjustments. Iterative refinement emphasizes action and learning over waiting for ideal conditions, enabling steady growth while minimizing stagnation. Use accountability to reinforce imperfect action. Share objectives, steps, and progress with a trusted partner, mentor, or group. External reinforcement encourages follow-through, provides perspective, and mitigates tendencies toward perfectionism that may delay execution. Accountability structures ensure that action occurs consistently, reinforcing the principle that progress matters more than flawless completion. Practice self-compassion during setbacks. Accept that progress includes errors and limitations, and that experiencing difficulty is an essential part of learning. Treating oneself kindly reinforces resilience, reduces discouragement, and encourages continued effort even when outcomes fall short of ideal standards. Compassion enhances persistence and motivation. Measure improvement based on capability expansion rather than flawlessness. Assess growth by skills learned, knowledge gained, and habits strengthened. Tracking capability creates a concrete metric of progress, focusing attention on constructive development instead of impossible ideals. Evaluating growth this way encourages continued action and consistent learning. Integrate reflection into the process. Periodically review completed steps, adjustments made, and lessons learned. Reflection clarifies what is effective, highlights patterns, and informs the next actions. Regular reflection reinforces learning, ensures improvement is intentional, and reduces the likelihood of repeating mistakes unnecessarily. Maintain momentum by prioritizing action over planning. Excessive preparation often serves perfectionist tendencies and delays progress. Taking steps, even when not perfect, generates feedback, reveals challenges, and accelerates learning. Action-oriented focus transforms potential into tangible outcomes, increasing both competence and confidence. Balance ambition with adaptability. Set meaningful goals while allowing flexibility in methods and execution. Accept that the path to progress may involve adjustments, detours, or partial successes. Adaptability ensures that setbacks do not halt momentum and that continuous improvement remains achievable despite imperfections. Use visualization to reinforce growth mindset. Imagine successfully implementing improvements, learning from mistakes, and continuing to progress despite challenges. Visualization strengthens motivation, prepares the mind for action, and reinforces confidence in the ability to grow steadily, even in the presence of imperfection. Integrate feedback actively. Seek constructive criticism and use it to inform adjustments. Feedback provides external perspective, validates progress, and identifies areas for refinement. Engaging with feedback systematically ensures that imperfect attempts become meaningful learning experiences that accelerate development. Anchor daily routines in consistent effort. Consistency in small repeated actions produces more lasting growth than sporadic perfection. Establish schedules, rituals, or habitual practices that promote steady engagement with skills, tasks, and goals. Consistency creates reliability, reinforces discipline, and ensures that progress compounds over time. Finally, Commit fully to the mindset that imperfect progress outweighs delayed perfection. Embrace action, learning, adjustment, and persistence as the true drivers of success. Recognize that each step, even if incomplete or flawed, contributes to growth, skill development, and resilience. By valuing measurable improvement over impossible ideals, you cultivate momentum, confidence, and the ability to achieve meaningful long-term results while reducing fear, stress, and self-criticism. Embracing imperfect progress as a guiding principle transforms mindset, behavior, and life outcomes, turning effort and persistence into unstoppable forces for personal and professional advancement. Chapter 13. Track thought patterns and replace repeating negatives with alternatives. The mind has incredible power, and learning to track thought patterns while replacing repeating negatives with constructive alternatives is the key to transforming daily experience, improving focus, and building emotional strength. Negative thoughts often arise automatically, looping in ways that drain energy, erode confidence, and limit potential. Awareness of these patterns allows conscious intervention, turning habitual negativity into deliberate, productive thinking. Each repeated negative thought is an opportunity to practice control, replace limiting beliefs, and reinforce perspectives that support growth, resilience, and clarity. By systematically observing, analyzing, and redirecting mental patterns, the mind can be trained to favor constructive insights over destructive loops, creating measurable change in behavior, attitude, and performance. Start by developing awareness of recurring thoughts. Take note of situations, triggers, or emotions that provoke negativity. Writing thoughts in a journal as they arise, or mentally labeling them during daily activities, helps illuminate patterns that might otherwise go unnoticed. Awareness is the foundation for change because unexamined thoughts continue to operate unconsciously, reinforcing limiting beliefs and unhelpful behaviors. Recognizing specific thought loops is the first step toward interrupting and replacing them. Identify categories of negative thinking. Some thoughts involve self-criticism, others focus on fear of failure, comparison to others, or assumptions about external circumstances. Distinguishing patterns allows precise interventions rather than generalized attempts to think positively. Understanding the type of negative thought informs what alternative or reframing strategy will be most effective in that context. Record and reflect on triggers consistently. Observe what situations, people, or environments consistently produce unproductive thinking. Use a notebook, digital app, or voice memo to capture these occurrences in real time. Recording provides concrete data rather than relying on memory, which can be distorted by emotion. Structured reflection highlights recurring issues, making the mind more capable of anticipating and managing future responses. Analyze each negative thought objectively. Ask whether the thought is factually accurate, helpful, or actionable. Many automatic thoughts are exaggerated, speculative, or emotionally charged rather than grounded in reality. By evaluating thoughts critically, the mind separates useful insight from destructive habit. This analytical step prevents reinforcement of unnecessary worry, guilt, or fear. Develop alternative, constructive responses for each negative pattern. For self-critical thoughts, consider statements that recognize effort, learning, or progress. For fear-based thoughts, identify logical assessments of risk, preparation, and capability. For comparisons, focus on personal growth, unique skills, and achievable goals. Alternatives should be specific, realistic, and directly counter the negative pattern, providing the mind with a reliable replacement rather than generic optimism. Implement real-time interruption techniques. When a negative thought arises, pause, label it, and consciously apply the alternative statement or perspective. This can be verbal, internal, or written. Immediate intervention prevents automatic reinforcement of negativity and strengthens the neural pathways associated with constructive thinking. Over time, this repetition creates habitual redirection, reducing the frequency and intensity of recurring negative thoughts. Integrate visualization with thought replacement. Imagine the negative thought arising and consciously replacing it with a positive or constructive alternative. Visual rehearsal strengthens cognitive flexibility, trains the brain to respond adaptively, and enhances confidence in managing emotional responses. Mental simulation allows practical practice without external consequence, accelerating internalization of new thinking patterns. Combine mindfulness with tracking. Observe thoughts without judgment, noticing them as mental events rather than absolute truths. Mindfulness creates distance from automatic reactions, allowing conscious evaluation and choice in response. The combination of mindfulness and structured tracking deepens awareness and increases the effectiveness of replacing negative patterns with constructive alternatives. Set measurable goals for thought pattern improvement. Monitor frequency of negative thoughts, intensity of emotional responses, and success in applying alternative thinking. Tracking progress creates motivation, reinforces new habits, and provides evidence that change is possible. Tangible metrics make abstract mental improvements visible and reinforce consistent practice. Apply environmental cues to support change. Surround yourself with reminders, affirmations, or visual prompts that encourage constructive thinking. Strategic placement of cues reinforces alternatives during moments when negative patterns are likely to appear, creating external reinforcement for internal change. Environmental support accelerates habit formation and strengthens resilience against automatic negativity. Incorporate gratitude practices as replacements for recurring negative loops. When a self-critical or fear-driven thought appears, immediately identify something to appreciate or acknowledge in your life, efforts, or accomplishments. Gratitude interrupts negative momentum, shifts focus to constructive perspectives, and strengthens neural associations between challenge and positivity. Regular practice builds emotional stability and reduces susceptibility to destructive thought cycles. Use cognitive restructuring techniques systematically. Challenge the evidence supporting each negative thought, explore alternative interpretations, and assess likely outcomes objectively. Replacing distorted perceptions with realistic and adaptive perspectives rewires thought patterns over time, producing more accurate, productive, and emotionally supportive mental habits. Engage in reflective journaling to reinforce changes. Writing about negative thoughts, triggers, and applied alternatives consolidates awareness and strengthens recall of constructive strategies. Journaling allows periodic review, highlights patterns, and provides documentation of progress, ensuring consistency and reinforcement of newly learned mental habits. Introduce accountability partners or groups. Sharing thought patterns and strategies with someone supportive encourages adherence, provides feedback, and reinforces commitment to replacing negativity. External reinforcement complements self-directed practice, maintaining motivation and consistency even when self-discipline wanes. Reinforce small successes consistently. Acknowledge instances when a negative thought was successfully replaced with a constructive alternative. Recognition strengthens neural pathways, builds confidence, and encourages repetition. Positive reinforcement ensures that the mind increasingly defaults to productive thinking over destructive loops. Integrate physical habits that enhance mental clarity. Exercise, proper rest, and nutrition support cognitive control, emotional stability, and the capacity to interrupt negative thought loops. Physical well-being directly impacts the mind's ability to implement tracking, evaluation, and replacement strategies effectively. Supporting the body amplifies mental resilience. Adopt iterative improvement rather than expecting immediate mastery. Thought replacement is a skill developed gradually through repetition and persistence. Some negative patterns will persist longer than others. Consistent practice, adjustment of alternatives, and ongoing observation are essential for long-term effectiveness. Patience and incremental reinforcement are central to mastering mental self-regulation. Combine thought tracking with goal-oriented action. Transform insights from analysis into practical steps for improvement, problem-solving, or skill development. Linking mental awareness to tangible outcomes ensures that cognitive restructuring translates into meaningful progress rather than abstract theory. Action reinforces the value and applicability of thought replacement strategies. Review and refine strategies periodically. As situations, environments, and personal growth evolve, some negative thought patterns may change or new ones emerge. Continuously assess and adjust alternative responses to maintain relevance and effectiveness. Adaptive maintenance prevents regression and ensures ongoing mental clarity, emotional stability, and personal growth. Finally, commit to continuous awareness and intervention. The process of tracking thought patterns and replacing repeating negatives with constructive alternatives is ongoing, lifelong, and profoundly transformative. By consistently observing mental habits, analyzing triggers, implementing replacements, and reinforcing progress, the mind gradually becomes more focused, resilient, and aligned with intentional goals. This disciplined practice empowers you to respond deliberately to challenges, maintain clarity under pressure, and cultivate a mindset oriented toward growth, positivity, and consistent achievement. Chapter 14. Focus on meaningful goals and break tasks into small steps. Meaningful goals give life direction, and breaking them into small, actionable steps transforms ambition into consistent progress, clarity, and achievement. Large objectives often feel overwhelming and can trigger procrastination, self-doubt, or indecision, but dividing them into manageable portions makes them approachable, measurable, and achievable. Focusing on goals that truly matter aligns effort with purpose, increases motivation, and ensures that energy is spent on what contributes to real growth rather than distractions or trivial tasks. Consistent incremental action builds momentum, reinforces confidence, and creates tangible evidence of progress that keeps the mind engaged and committed to sustained achievement. Begin by clearly defining goals that align with your values and priorities. Ask what outcomes genuinely improve your life, skills, or fulfillment, rather than what appears impressive or externally expected. When goals are meaningful, internal motivation is stronger, persistence is easier, and the effort invested feels worthwhile. Clarity about why a goal matters enhances commitment and makes small steps toward it feel significant. Break each goal into smaller, actionable tasks. Identify individual actions that cumulatively achieve the larger objective. Each task should be concrete, specific, and achievable in a defined time frame. This prevents overwhelm, clarifies the path forward, and allows for regular progress checks. Incremental steps provide repeated opportunities for success, reinforcing the belief that goals are attainable. Prioritize tasks according to impact and feasibility. Focus first on steps that produce meaningful results or remove obstacles. Sequence tasks logically so that completion of one step naturally enables the next. Prioritization ensures that time and energy are applied efficiently, prevents wasted effort, and strengthens the sense of momentum. Set measurable benchmarks for each step. Define clear criteria for completion, such as specific outcomes, time spent, or results achieved. Tangible benchmarks allow for objective evaluation, celebrate progress, and maintain motivation. They provide concrete evidence that incremental action is building toward larger achievements, reinforcing commitment and focus. Develop daily routines that incorporate small task completion. Assigning time blocks to work on specific steps ensures consistent action, builds discipline, and reinforces habit formation. Even brief, focused sessions create cumulative progress over time. Consistency in addressing small steps creates a rhythm of accomplishment that fuels continued effort. Visualize completion of each step and the ultimate goal. Mentally rehearsing progress strengthens motivation, clarifies the path forward, and reduces anxiety associated with complex objectives. Visualization primes the mind to recognize opportunities, anticipate challenges, and act decisively. Seeing the process mentally reinforces commitment and reduces procrastination. Track progress systematically. Use journals, digital tools, or checklists to record completed tasks and remaining steps. Monitoring progress creates a sense of achievement, highlights areas requiring adjustment, and maintains awareness of momentum. Consistent tracking transforms abstract goals into visible evidence of forward movement, encouraging sustained effort. Anticipate obstacles and plan mitigation strategies. Identify potential challenges or delays that could hinder progress and create contingencies. Addressing obstacles proactively reduces stress, maintains consistency, and prevents stagnation. Planning for difficulties ensures that minor setbacks do not derail momentum and reinforces resilience in pursuit of meaningful objectives. Break complex tasks into micro-actions. For particularly challenging or daunting steps, divide them further into even smaller units of work. Micro-actions make progress tangible, reduce fear of starting, and encourage immediate execution. Completing small units creates a sense of accomplishment that motivates continued engagement with larger tasks. Integrate accountability mechanisms. Share goals, progress, and next steps with a trusted mentor, colleague, or peer group. External accountability reinforces commitment, provides perspective, and increases follow-through. Communicating intentions and reporting progress strengthens discipline and maintains focus on meaningful objectives. Review and adjust steps regularly. Assess whether each small action is producing the desired effect toward the larger goal. Adapt sequences, methods, or strategies when necessary to maintain alignment with objectives. Flexibility ensures that effort remains productive, prevents wasted energy, and supports continuous progress even as circumstances change. Combine focus with reflection. After completing steps, reflect on lessons learned, challenges faced, and improvements possible. Reflection transforms routine actions into learning opportunities, enhancing skill development, efficiency, and strategic thinking. Regular review reinforces understanding of what works and promotes smarter decision-making for future steps. Celebrate incremental achievements. Acknowledging progress, no matter how small, reinforces motivation, strengthens confidence, and highlights the value of consistent action. Recognition of achievement prevents discouragement, maintains energy, and encourages continuation toward the ultimate goal. Each small success compounds into meaningful overall advancement. Maintain a balance between flexibility and structure. Structured steps provide clarity and direction, while flexibility allows adaptation to unforeseen changes or new information. Balancing both ensures that progress remains steady without being derailed by minor disruptions or changing circumstances. Adaptable structure supports resilience and sustained engagement. Focus attention on actionable elements rather than hypothetical outcomes. Concentrate energy on tasks within control rather than worrying about uncertainties. Directing effort toward what can be done increases effectiveness, reduces mental fatigue, and accelerates visible progress. Action-oriented focus reinforces confidence and competence. Use environmental support to reinforce task execution. Arrange workspaces, tools, and resources to minimize friction, distractions, and inefficiency. A supportive environment amplifies focus, encourages task completion, and maintains calm engagement with each step. Physical organization aligns with mental clarity and reinforces progress. Leverage habit formation for recurring tasks. When steps can be repeated regularly, build habits that automate action. Automatic execution reduces mental effort, ensures consistency, and accelerates accumulation of progress over time. Habits transform deliberate effort into sustained, reliable advancement toward meaningful goals. Integrate feedback loops. Monitor results, solicit input from others, and adjust tasks based on observations. Feedback allows refinement, prevents wasted effort, and reinforces alignment with intended outcomes. Continuous learning embedded in task executions strengthens both skill and strategic decision-making. Anchor each small step in purpose. Remind yourself why each action contributes to the larger goal. Connecting effort to meaningful outcomes strengthens motivation, enhances perseverance, and transforms routine tasks into intentional progress. Purposeful alignment ensures that energy invested produces both tangible results and intrinsic satisfaction. Finally, commit fully to consistent action on meaningful goals by taking deliberate, small steps daily. Progress compounds through disciplined execution, reflection, adjustment, and perseverance. Focusing on incremental tasks rather than distant perfection transforms ambition into achievable results, strengthens confidence, and reinforces resilience. By aligning attention with purpose, maintaining clarity of steps, and acting consistently, goals once seemingly unattainable become tangible, and the process itself cultivates skill, discipline, and lasting growth. Chapter 15. Choose supportive people and communicate honestly about your needs. The people you surround yourself with have a profound impact on your mindset, resilience, and capacity to grow, and choosing supportive individuals while communicating honestly about your needs is one of the most transformative steps toward building a life of strength, clarity, and fulfillment. Every relationship shapes thought patterns, emotional responses, and behavior, often subtly reinforcing either limitation or empowerment. Supportive people amplify your confidence, encourage consistent action, and provide constructive guidance when challenges arise. Conversely, relationships that drain energy, foster doubt, or promote negativity undermine progress, increase stress, and can stall personal growth. Learning to identify, cultivate, and communicate within supportive connections is not only essential for emotional well-being, but also a foundational principle for achieving goals and sustaining resilience in daily life. Begin by evaluating existing relationships and their influence on your life. Observe how interactions with specific individuals make you feel, how they affect your energy, and whether they inspire action or hesitation. Relationships that consistently create self-doubt, tension, or distraction require reconsideration. Identifying relationships that hinder growth is a necessary step to prioritize supportive connections that strengthen motivation and focus. Prioritize people who demonstrate empathy, encouragement, and reliability. Supportive individuals listen actively, validate experiences without judgment, and offer guidance when requested. They celebrate achievements, provide perspective during setbacks, and maintain consistent presence without creating unnecessary pressure. These qualities foster an environment in which growth, reflection, and action become natural outcomes rather than forced efforts. Develop clarity about your own needs before communicating them. Understanding what support, boundaries, or feedback are necessary allows for honest, precise conversations. Awareness of personal requirements reduces frustration, prevents misunderstanding, and ensures that interactions are productive rather than draining. Clear self-knowledge strengthens confidence in requesting what contributes to your well-being and goals. Communicate openly and assertively with those you trust. Express needs directly, specifying actions, boundaries, or emotional support desired. Avoid vague language, passive hints, or assumptions that others will intuitively understand. Clear, direct communication minimizes misinterpretation and reinforces mutual respect, while establishing healthy relational dynamics. Set and maintain healthy boundaries. Boundaries protect energy, focus, and emotional stability. Clearly define limits on time, emotional investment, and types of acceptable engagement. Boundaries prevent overextension, reduce exposure to negative influences, and allow relationships to thrive in a structured and balanced manner. Consistently honoring boundaries reinforces self-respect and encourages reciprocal consideration. Seek relationships that encourage accountability and growth. Supportive people challenge complacency, provide constructive feedback, and reinforce positive habits without judgment. They celebrate effort as much as results, fostering a mindset oriented toward continuous improvement. Engaging with individuals who promote accountability strengthens discipline, focus, and personal responsibility over time. Eliminate or minimize contact with consistently negative or unsupportive individuals. Chronic exposure to criticism, doubt, or emotional volatility depletes energy and undermines progress. Reducing interactions with these individuals is an act of self-preservation and creates space for relationships that genuinely uplift and empower. Intentional distancing does not require hostility, only clear boundaries and prioritization of well-being. Engage in active listening within supportive relationships. Attention, empathy, and curiosity build trust, understanding, and reciprocity. By listening carefully, you deepen connections, gain insight into others' perspectives, and reinforce mutual respect. Active listening strengthens relational bonds, ensuring that support is both given and received effectively. Express appreciation and recognition for support received. Acknowledgement reinforces positive dynamics, strengthens relational trust, and encourages continued constructive engagement. Gratitude fosters emotional closeness, reduces tension, and builds a sense of shared purpose in mutual growth. Recognition of support enhances motivation and creates reinforcing cycles of encouragement. Develop a network of diverse support. Include individuals who offer expertise, mentorship, emotional support, and peer encouragement. Different types of support address varying needs, from strategic advice to emotional validation. A well-rounded support network ensures that multiple aspects of growth and resilience are reinforced, increasing the likelihood of sustained success and well-being. Communicate proactively rather than reactively. Anticipate potential misunderstandings, needs, or requests, and address them in advance. Proactive communication reduces conflict, clarifies expectations, and reinforces trust. Anticipating relational dynamics demonstrates responsibility and encourages others to reciprocate openness and consideration. Practice consistency in communication. Reliable, clear, and respectful interaction fosters stability and predictability in relationships. Consistency builds trust, ensures needs are understood, and prevents the development of patterns that generate stress or misalignment. Repeated demonstrations of integrity strengthen relational bonds and reinforce supportive dynamics. Integrate self-awareness with relational awareness. Understand how your own behavior, emotions, and communication patterns influence others. Adjust approaches as needed to maintain constructive interactions while remaining authentic. Self-awareness prevents unnecessary conflict, promotes harmony, and ensures that support is reciprocal rather than one-sided. Utilize reflective practices to improve relational effectiveness. Regularly assess interactions, note what is constructive, and identify areas for improvement. Reflection helps refine communication, reinforce boundaries, and maintain alignment between personal needs and relational contributions. Iterative adjustment enhances the quality of support received and provided. Encourage honesty in others by modeling transparency. When you communicate openly about needs, feelings, and goals, it signals that honesty is valued and safe within the relationship. Modeling clear and respectful expression fosters a culture of mutual understanding and accountability. Honest engagement strengthens relational resilience and supports shared growth. Balance dependence and independence. Rely on supportive individuals for guidance, feedback, and encouragement, but maintain personal responsibility for actions, decisions, and growth. Healthy interdependence avoids over-reliance while ensuring that support networks reinforce, rather than replace, individual agency and accountability. Leverage collaborative problem-solving. When challenges arise, approach solutions collectively, inviting input, brainstorming, and shared reflection. Collaborative strategies reduce stress, generate creative approaches, and reinforce connection. Engaging in cooperative problem-solving strengthens trust and demonstrates the practical value of supportive relationships. Maintain adaptability in relationships. Life circumstances, priorities, and individual growth trajectories evolve over time. Flexibility allows for adjustment in expectations, communication styles, and support mechanisms, ensuring that relationships remain constructive and mutually beneficial despite change. Adaptability preserves relational quality and sustains long-term growth. Foster emotional intelligence within interactions. Recognize and respond appropriately to both your own and others' emotions. Emotional intelligence enhances communication, reduces conflict, and supports understanding and empathy. Skillful management of emotional dynamics strengthens bonds, encourages supportive engagement, and sustains relational health over time. Finally, commit fully to creating, nurturing, and maintaining relationships that reinforce growth, while communicating needs honestly. Supportive people amplify strengths, provide encouragement, and reduce unnecessary mental and emotional burden. By actively choosing relationships that elevate rather than drain and expressing needs clearly and assertively, you cultivate an environment conducive to resilience, achievement, and personal fulfillment. Deliberate relational choices are as critical to personal success as discipline, focus, and skill development, making supportive networks an essential pillar of a life dedicated to continuous improvement and meaningful accomplishment. Chapter 16. Break cycles of rumination with focused action and immediate tasks. Overthinking and dwelling on problems drains energy, clouds judgment, and blocks progress, and breaking cycles of rumination with focused action and immediate tasks is the most effective way to regain control, clarity, and momentum. Rumination traps the mind in repetitive loops of worry, doubt, and regret, often amplifying fears and exaggerating obstacles beyond their actual significance. Action, no matter how small, interrupts these cycles, shifts attention from speculation to concrete results, and restores a sense of agency and competence. Each deliberate step taken moves the mind from passive rumination to proactive problem solving, reinforcing confidence, focus and resilience, while gradually reprogramming habitual thought patterns toward productivity and calm. Begin by recognizing when rumination occurs. Pay attention to signs such as repetitive thinking, difficulty concentrating, or feeling mentally stuck on a single problem or concern. Awareness of the onset of rumination is essential because unrecognized cycles continue unconsciously, consuming energy without producing solutions. Identifying the specific focus of your repetitive thoughts provides clarity on what needs to be addressed or reframed. Shift immediately from thinking to action. Identify a single concrete task that addresses the issue you are ruminating over. Even minimal steps, such as making a call, drafting a plan, or organizing resources, redirect cognitive energy from repetitive speculation to practical execution. Action generates measurable progress and interrupts mental loops that otherwise reinforce anxiety and inaction. Break large concerns into smaller, manageable actions. Complex problems often fuel rumination because they feel overwhelming or unsolvable. By fragmenting challenges into discrete tasks, the mind perceives them as achievable, reducing paralysis and increasing motivation. Completing small steps sequentially builds momentum and reinforces the belief that solutions are within reach. Create a prioritized action list. When multiple thoughts or worries emerge simultaneously, rank tasks by urgency and impact. Tackling high-priority items first prevents the mind from being scattered and focuses attention where it will have the most meaningful effect. Prioritization clarifies direction and converts mental energy into purposeful effort. Use time-bound action windows. Allocate specific periods to work on immediate tasks rather than endlessly thinking or planning. Time constraints prevent overthinking, reinforce discipline, and encourage decisive execution. Structured focus ensures that energy is invested productively rather than wasted in repetitive mental loops. Integrate physical activity to disrupt mental loops. Movement stimulates circulation, enhances cognitive clarity, and provides a tangible anchor away from endless rumination. Exercise, walking, or even brief stretching engages the body, shifts attention, and reinforces the connection between action and relief from mental fatigue. Physical engagement complements cognitive strategies and accelerates interruption of rumination. Apply mindfulness techniques during tasks. Focus fully on the task at hand, observing sensations, steps, and outcomes without distraction. Mindful attention anchors the mind in the present moment, preventing it from wandering back into unproductive, repetitive thoughts. Combining mindfulness with immediate action enhances effectiveness and reinforces cognitive control. Practice cognitive reframing in tandem with action. When a thought triggers rumination, consciously reinterpret it as a challenge, learning opportunity, or step toward improvement. Shifting perspective reduces emotional intensity, increases problem-solving clarity, and supports a proactive approach. Constructive framing turns potential setbacks into actionable insights. Establish accountability mechanisms. Share immediate tasks and action plans with a trusted partner, mentor, or peer group. External accountability reinforces commitment, provides feedback, and encourages follow-through. Knowing that someone else is aware of your intentions increases motivation and reduces the tendency to linger in mental loops. Use environmental cues to reinforce action. Arrange workspaces, tools, or reminders to prompt task execution and minimize distractions. Visual cues, checklists, or pre-prepared materials encourage immediate engagement and reduce the mental friction that fuels rumination. A supportive environment creates a seamless path from thought to action. Incorporate reflection after completing tasks. Evaluate what was achieved, what worked well, and what adjustments may be needed. Reflection consolidates learning, informs next steps, and reinforces the positive association between action and progress. It ensures that immediate efforts are purposeful rather than arbitrary, strengthening confidence and skill development. Apply progressive task escalation. Start with small, easily achievable actions to build momentum and gradually take on more complex or challenging tasks. Early success provides reinforcement, reduces resistance, and conditions the mind to shift from rumination to sustained action over time. Incremental escalation prevents overwhelm while maintaining consistent progress. Leverage habit formation to prevent future rumination. Create routines for daily or recurring tasks that often provoke overthinking. Habitual engagement reduces decision fatigue, ensures consistency, and minimizes opportunities for the mind to dwell on uncertainties. Strong habits embed action-oriented thinking into daily life, making rumination less likely to dominate. Anchor attention in sensory awareness. When thoughts begin to spiral, focus on immediate sensory input, such as the feel of hands on a keyboard, the sound of footsteps, or the smell of surroundings. Sensory grounding interrupts mental loops and reconnects the mind to the present, reinforcing actionable focus over repetitive speculation. Combine goal orientation with immediate execution. Align tasks with meaningful objectives rather than random activity. Connecting action to purpose ensures that energy spent is productive, satisfying, and motivating. Goal-directed action converts potential rumination into measurable advancement toward priorities, reinforcing both clarity and engagement. Practice self-compassion during action. Understand that immediate tasks may not solve every concern or achieve perfection. Treat effort as the priority and acknowledge the progress inherent in taking steps forward. Self-compassion reduces fear of failure, encourages repeated action, and prevents new cycles of rumination from arising out of self-criticism. Use structured planning for recurring worries. For problems that tend to repeatedly trigger rumination, create standardized response plans with specific tasks, resources, and timelines. Having a clear procedural approach minimizes time spent in unproductive thinking and maximizes actionable engagement. Preparedness fosters confidence and reduces mental loops. Integrate breaks strategically. While immediate action is essential, regular pauses prevent fatigue and maintain clarity. Short, focused breaks allow the mind to reset, process completed tasks, and approach subsequent steps with renewed energy. Strategic rest supports sustained productivity and prevents rumination from re-emerging due to exhaustion. Track progress consistently. Document completed actions, outcomes, and lessons learned from immediate tasks. Visualizing accomplishments reinforces the effectiveness of action over rumination, strengthens confidence, and provides data for future task planning. Tracking progress transforms abstract effort into tangible evidence of growth. Commit fully to a mindset of action-oriented response. Recognize that rumination is a natural mental pattern but not a permanent state. By consistently redirecting energy into focused, immediate tasks, you reclaim control over thought processes, strengthen problem-solving capacity, and cultivate resilience. Habitual practice of task-focused engagement gradually rewires cognitive patterns, reduces anxiety, and empowers deliberate, effective progress in all areas of life. Chapter 17. Build physical energy through sleep, nutrition, movement, and simple routines. Physical energy is the foundation of mental clarity, focus, and consistent achievement, and building it through proper sleep, nutrition, movement, and simple routines transforms both productivity and overall well-being. Without sufficient energy, even the best intentions, plans, and habits falter because the body and mind lack the capacity to sustain effort, process information, and respond resiliently to challenges. Energy is not accidental. It is cultivated through deliberate daily choices that prioritize restoration, nourishment, and movement, while embedding consistency into routines that support both physical vitality and mental stamina. Understanding the interplay between these elements allows you to harness energy deliberately, converting potential fatigue into sustained momentum and capability. Begin by establishing a consistent sleep schedule. Prioritize 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep each night to restore cognitive function, regulate emotions, and optimize physical recovery. Going to bed and waking up at roughly the same times daily stabilizes circadian rhythms, enhances alertness, and strengthens energy reserves. Avoiding irregular sleep patterns prevents fatigue, reduces mental fog, and promotes clarity in decision-making and action. Create a sleep-friendly environment. Ensure darkness, quiet, and a comfortable temperature in your sleeping space. Limit exposure to screens and bright lights before bedtime to allow natural melatonin production. Environmental adjustments significantly improve sleep quality, reduce nighttime disturbances, and increase energy upon waking. A restful night is the cornerstone of sustained daily productivity. Nourish the body with balanced nutrition. Prioritize whole foods, rich in vitamins, minerals, and protein, to sustain energy and support metabolic function. Include complex carbohydrates, healthy fats, and lean proteins to provide stable fuel throughout the day. Avoid excessive sugar or processed foods that cause energy crashes and disrupt focus. Consistent, nutrient-rich meals stabilize mood, enhance stamina, and create a reliable foundation for sustained performance. Hydration is critical for maintaining energy levels. Even mild dehydration can reduce concentration, slow reaction times, and increase feelings of fatigue. Drink water consistently throughout the day and monitor signs of thirst as an indicator of physical readiness. Hydration amplifies the effects of sleep, nutrition, and exercise, ensuring that energy produced is effectively utilized. Incorporate daily movement to stimulate physical vitality. Engage in moderate exercise, such as walking, jogging, or bodyweight routines to enhance cardiovascular health, strengthen muscles, and increase oxygen flow to the brain. Physical activity improves mood, reduces stress, and enhances endurance, creating a positive feedback loop where energy motivates further activity. Small, consistent movement sessions are more effective than sporadic, intense workouts. Use intentional micro-movements during the day. Short bouts of stretching, standing, or brief exercises between tasks reduce stiffness, increase blood flow, and maintain alertness. Micro-movements interrupt sedentary patterns that contribute to fatigue, enhance mental clarity, and reinforce energy levels without requiring significant time investment. Integrating movement into daily routines ensures energy remains steady throughout extended periods of work or focus. Develop simple routines that reinforce consistent energy management. Create morning rituals, scheduled meals, exercise sessions, and rest periods that structure the day around predictable restorative patterns. Routines reduce decision fatigue, stabilize energy, and create a reliable rhythm that supports both productivity and physical health. Repetition reinforces habit formation, making energy maintenance automatic rather than reliant on willpower alone. Prioritize restorative breaks strategically. Short periods of rest, meditation, or light activity allow both body and mind to recover from exertion, reducing cumulative fatigue. Scheduling breaks prevents burnout, maintains focus, and ensures that energy is replenished rather than depleted over time. Consistent restoration, embedded in routines, sustains high performance and reduces mental and physical strain. Practice mindful eating to enhance energy efficiency. Focus on consuming meals slowly, noticing flavors, textures, and satisfaction cues. Avoid distracted eating, which can lead to overconsumption or insufficient nutrient intake. Mindful nutrition improves digestion, optimizes energy absorption, and strengthens awareness of how different foods impact physical vitality. Awareness of consumption directly informs better energy management. Integrate strength training into weekly routines. Resistance exercise increase muscle mass, enhance metabolism, and improve overall endurance. Strengthened muscles reduce fatigue during daily activities, improve posture, and support energy-efficient movement. Gradual progression in strength training builds sustainable physical resilience that underpins all other aspects of energy management. Optimize mental energy alongside physical routines. Cognitive fatigue often accompanies physical exhaustion, and addressing both simultaneously amplifies overall vitality. Engage in focused work sessions, interspersed with restorative pauses to prevent mental burnout. Structured attention and task management protect cognitive resources, complementing physical energy cultivated through sleep, nutrition, and movement. Monitor energy cycles throughout the day. Identify periods of peak alertness and leverage them for high-focus work, complex problem-solving, or creative tasks. Align lower energy periods with simpler or routine tasks that require less mental or physical effort. Awareness of natural energy fluctuations ensures effective allocation of effort and prevents unnecessary strain during low-energy phases. Limit stimulants and substances that disrupt natural energy patterns. Excessive caffeine, sugar, or other artificial stimulants may provide temporary spikes, but lead to crashes and long-term energy depletion. Relying on natural energy sources such as nutrition, sleep, and movement creates sustainable vitality and consistent performance without dependency or volatility. Incorporate deep breathing and relaxation techniques to restore energy rapidly. Short sessions of controlled breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, or brief meditation reduce tension, improve oxygenation, and activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Restorative techniques complement physical routines and allow immediate recovery during high-demand periods. Regular practice strengthens resilience to stress and maintains consistent energy levels. Set achievable daily goals that align with energy management. Avoid overloading schedules or underestimating physical capacity. Break tasks into manageable portions, scheduling effort according to energy availability. Proper pacing prevents burnout, ensures sustainable engagement, and reinforces the link between energy and productivity. Track energy patterns over time. Maintain a log of sleep quality, nutrition, movement, and perceived vitality to identify trends and areas for improvement. Data-driven awareness allows adjustments that optimize physical energy and ensure routines remain aligned with actual needs and goals. Tracking provides measurable feedback that guides consistent refinement. Combine social engagement with energy routines. Positive social interaction stimulates mental energy, reinforces motivation, and supports emotional resilience. Engaging with supportive individuals during low-energy periods can invigorate focus and prevent mental stagnation. Social energy management complements physical routines, creating holistic vitality. Introduce gradual habit stacking. Build energy-enhancing behaviors sequentially rather than attempting radical lifestyle changes. Start with one consistent habit, such as improved sleep, then layer nutrition adjustments, followed by movement routines. Gradual integration ensures sustainable adoption, prevents overwhelm, and reinforces cumulative impact on energy and performance. Commit fully to daily practices that maintain and enhance physical energy. Sleep, nutrition, movement, and simple routines form the pillars of vitality that sustain productivity, mental clarity, and emotional resilience. Consistent application of these principles transforms fatigue into momentum, ensures reliable engagement with tasks, and creates a foundation for continuous personal growth. Energy is cultivated intentionally, and every choice, from what you eat to how you move and rest, contributes to the capacity to act, achieve, and thrive with consistency, focus, and strength. Chapter 18. Practice mindful observation to notice thoughts without automatic reactions. The mind is constantly producing thoughts, many of which are automatic, reactive, or unhelpful, and practicing mindful observation allows you to notice these thoughts without being controlled by them, giving you the power to choose your response, maintain clarity, and cultivate inner freedom. Most people react immediately every thought or emotion, allowing fear, doubt, or impulsive judgment to dictate behavior, which creates stress, confusion, and stagnation. Mindful observation creates a space between stimulus and response, enabling deliberate choices, increased emotional regulation, and strengthened self-mastery. Developing this skill transforms mental chaos into structured awareness, allowing decisions to be guided by reason, intention, and long-term goals, rather than reactive patterns or habitual negativity. Begin by grounding attention in the present moment. Focus on immediate sensory experiences such as breathing, sounds, physical sensations, or visual surroundings. Anchoring awareness in what is tangible prevents the mind from becoming lost in automatic thought loops, worry, or regret. Presence is the first step in creating distance from reactive thinking and establishing conscious observation. Notice thoughts as they arise without judgment. Imagine thoughts as passing events in the mind rather than truths that require action or belief. Observing without labeling thoughts as good or bad reduces emotional intensity, prevents escalation, and creates mental clarity. Non-judgmental awareness transforms potentially distracting or harmful thought patterns into neutral data points to be considered deliberately. Recognize the habitual nature of automatic reactions. Many responses occur due to conditioning, past experiences, or ingrained patterns rather than conscious choice. Awareness of habitual tendencies allows identification of triggers, understanding of recurring mental narratives, and preparation for intentional, measured responses. Observing the automatic processes of the mind empowers you to step outside habitual loops. Use focused attention exercises to strengthen observation. Practice concentrating on a single object, sound, or bodily sensation while allowing thoughts to surface naturally. Each time attention drifts toward reactive thinking, gently return focus to the chosen anchor. Repetition strengthens cognitive control, enhances awareness, and trains the mind to recognize patterns without becoming overwhelmed by them. Maintain emotional neutrality while observing. Notice feelings that accompany thoughts without attempting to suppress or exaggerate them. Emotional neutrality prevents escalation of stress, anger, or anxiety, and allows the mind to assess situations objectively. This practice develops resilience by demonstrating that emotions can be experienced fully without dictating actions or overwhelming reason. Apply labeling techniques to categorize thoughts. Silently identify each thought as a concern, memory, plan, judgment, or sensation. Labeling fosters clarity, prevents confusion, and reinforces the mental habit of recognition without reaction. Categorization transforms abstract mental activity into structured observation, creating mental space for deliberate choice. Practice short daily mindfulness sessions to integrate observation into life. Begin with 5 to 10 minutes of focused attention on breath, sensations, or awareness of thought. Gradually increase duration as comfort and skill develop. Regular practice reinforces neural pathways associated with conscious awareness, improving the ability to notice and detach from automatic responses in real-world situations. Use mindful pauses before responding. When confronted with triggers, take a moment to observe thoughts and feelings before acting. This pause interrupts impulsive reactions, allowing reasoned, value-aligned responses. Deliberate pauses convert reactive patterns into intentional action, strengthening both emotional regulation and practical decision-making. Record observations through journaling. Note recurring thoughts, triggers, and emotional responses without judgment or analysis. Journaling reinforces awareness, highlights patterns over time, and provides concrete evidence of mental activity. Written reflection supports insight into habitual tendencies and informs adjustments in thought management. Integrate mindful observation into routine activities. While walking, eating, or completing chores, maintain awareness of sensations, thoughts, and emotions. Embedding mindfulness into daily life ensures that observation is not limited to formal meditation sessions, but becomes a natural, continuous practice that strengthens control over automatic responses. Notice the impermanence of thoughts. Each thought arises, exists for a moment, and passes away. Recognizing impermanence reduces attachment, worry, and the perceived necessity to act on every mental impulse. Awareness of transient mental activity creates calm, fosters patience, and strengthens deliberate decision-making. Combine mindful observation with deep breathing. Controlled breath enhances focus, slows mental chatter, and provides a physical anchor to return to when thoughts become intrusive. Deep, measured breathing amplifies the effectiveness of observation by regulating physiological responses associated with stress and reactivity. Develop self-compassion while observing. Understand that noticing reactive thoughts does not imply weakness or failure. Treat awareness as skill building and recognize the effort to maintain presence as progress. Self-compassion reinforces consistent practice, reduces judgment of mental patterns, and encourages patient growth in cognitive mastery. Observe physical cues associated with thought patterns. Tension, posture, or facial expressions often accompany specific mental states. Awareness of these cues deepens insight into automatic reactions and provides tangible entry points for intervention and adjustment. Recognizing the mind-body connection enhances both observation and the ability to regulate responses. Practice detachment from identity-based thinking. Notice when thoughts center on self-image, ego, or social comparison without immediately reacting. Detachment fosters clarity, reduces defensiveness, and allows evaluation of thoughts for practical relevance rather than perceived personal significance. Observing without attachment strengthens resilience and objective decision-making. Implement micro-mindfulness breaks throughout the day. Pause for brief moments of observation before meetings, challenging tasks, or transitions. Frequent practice reinforces habitual awareness, reduces reactivity in high-pressure situations, and strengthens cognitive control over impulsive thoughts. Micro breaks accumulate into sustained mental discipline. Combine observation with intention setting. After noticing patterns, consciously decide how to respond, prioritize tasks, or redirect attention. Linking awareness with intention ensures that observation translates into practical action and prevents mindfulness from becoming passive or disengaged. Action grounded in awareness reinforces both clarity and effectiveness. Track patterns of mental reactivity over time. Document triggers, frequency of automatic reactions, and progress in response control. Tracking provides measurable evidence of improvement, informs adjustments, and reinforces confidence in the capacity to observe without being controlled by thoughts. Data-driven awareness strengthens commitment and skill development. Cultivate patience with the process. Mastery of mindful observation develops gradually and requires sustained effort. Expect fluctuations in focus, temporary lapses into automatic reaction, and incremental progress rather than immediate perfection. Patience reinforces persistence, reduces frustration, and strengthens the neural foundations of deliberate awareness. Commit fully to daily practice of mindful observation. Each thought, noticed without immediate reaction, strengthens control, mental clarity, and emotional resilience. Regular application transforms reactivity into intentional response, fear into rational assessment, and chaos into structured awareness. By cultivating the ability to observe thoughts without attachment or automatic response, the mind becomes a tool of deliberate action, calm judgment, and sustained personal growth. Chapter 19. Expand your skills through deliberate practice and small daily wins. Growth does not happen by accident, and expanding your skills through deliberate practice and small daily wins is the most reliable path to mastery, confidence, and meaningful achievement. Progress is built incrementally, not in sudden bursts, and focusing on consistent, intentional effort compounds into substantial improvement over time. Each small win reinforces confidence, strengthens motivation, and provides tangible evidence that your actions are moving you closer to your goals. Deliberate practice is not simply repetition, it is focused, purposeful effort designed to challenge existing limits, refine abilities, and create measurable growth. Integrating this principle into daily life ensures that learning is continuous, deliberate, and aligned with long-term success. Begin by identifying the specific skills you want to develop. Clear focus allows intentional practice and prevents energy from being scattered across too many areas. Break down each skill into sub-skills or core components, which makes improvement measurable and attainable. Understanding what mastery looks like for each skill provides direction and creates criteria for evaluating progress. Set concrete daily practice goals. Small, achievable targets ensure that effort is consistent and manageable while providing frequent feedback. These micro-goals create a sense of accomplishment and reinforce the habit of deliberate practice. By achieving small wins regularly, motivation increases and the momentum required for larger breakthroughs is established. Focus on quality over quantity. Repetition without attention or feedback reinforces errors rather than improvement. Each practice session should be purposeful, concentrating on refining technique, understanding principles, or addressing weaknesses. Focused attention during practice accelerates learning, deepens skill retention, and prevents wasted effort. Track progress meticulously. Maintain a journal, log, or record of completed practice sessions, outcomes, and insights. Observing growth over time reinforces commitment, highlights patterns of improvement, and identifies areas requiring further attention. Measurement transforms abstract effort into tangible evidence of development and reinforces the psychological benefits of consistent practice. Embrace challenge and discomfort as part of growth. Skills expand most effectively when tasks slightly exceed current capability. Deliberate practice requires pushing beyond comfort zones while maintaining focus and precision. Exposure to controlled difficulty strengthens resilience, accelerates learning, and prevents stagnation. Avoiding challenge limits potential and reinforces complacency. Break larger skills into smaller, focused exercises. Dividing complex abilities into micro-tasks allows concentrated effort on specific components. Practicing individual elements separately before integrating them into the whole skill enhances precision, builds confidence, and prevents overwhelm. Incremental focus ensures mastery of each sub-skill before progressing. Integrate feedback into practice sessions. Seek objective evaluation from mentors, peers, or self-assessment tools. Constructive feedback identifies blind spots, clarifies mistakes, and guides corrective action. Continuous input accelerates improvement and ensures that effort produces meaningful refinement rather than repetitive error. Celebrate small daily wins. Acknowledging incremental success reinforces motivation and embeds the habit of consistent effort. Recognition of achievement, however minor, strengthens confidence and creates positive emotional reinforcement for continued practice. Small wins accumulate into larger accomplishments and sustain long-term engagement. Maintain consistency through structured routines. Schedule dedicated practice sessions, even if brief, to build habit and ensure regular engagement. Consistency establishes rhythm, strengthens neural pathways associated with skill mastery, and converts sporadic effort into steady progress. Routine reduces reliance on willpower and transforms practice into a natural, automatic part of daily life. Focus on one skill or component at a time. Multitasking slows improvement by splitting attention and diluting effort. Concentrated focus allows deeper understanding, faster refinement, and higher quality output. Sequenced practice ensures mastery of foundational elements before moving on to more complex or integrated tasks. Embrace repetition with attention to detail. Repeated execution refines skill, enhances muscle memory, and reinforces mental models. Repetition becomes effective when each iteration is deliberate, measured, and consciously aligned with improvement objectives. Mindless repetition provides limited benefit, whereas focused repetition compounds learning and capability. Use visualization to complement practice. Mentally rehearsing skills enhances performance, strengthens neural pathways, and improves execution. Visualization reinforces deliberate practice by integrating cognitive preparation with physical or mental effort, increasing precision and confidence in real-world application. Identify and eliminate distractions during practice. Focused effort is the core of deliberate growth, and interruptions dilute attention and reduce the effectiveness of repetition. Create an environment conducive to concentrated work, whether through physical arrangement, time management, or mental preparation. Focus amplifies results and accelerates skill expansion. Adjust intensity according to progress. As proficiency grows, increase challenge to maintain optimal learning. Gradual escalation prevents plateauing while ensuring that effort remains purposeful. Deliberate progression keeps practice engaging, demanding, and aligned with continuous improvement. Integrate reflection into each session. After completing practice, assess what worked, what needs adjustment, and what insights emerged. Reflection consolidates learning, informs future sessions, and strengthens the feedback loop that is essential for deliberate mastery. Each reflection session reinforces self-awareness, accountability, and strategic improvement. Apply skills in real-world contexts whenever possible. Transitioning from isolated practice to practical application solidifies learning, reveals nuances, and strengthens confidence. Real-world use converts abstract competence into functional ability, demonstrating the tangible value of effort and reinforcing motivation through observable results. Maintain patience and persistence. Skill expansion is gradual, and measurable progress may appear slow at times. Persistence in daily practice ensures that cumulative effort compounds into mastery over weeks, months, and years. Long-term commitment outperforms short-term intensity in sustaining growth and achieving expertise. Leverage accountability mechanisms to reinforce practice. Sharing goals, tracking progress with mentors, or participating in communities with similar objectives strengthens commitment and encourages consistent action. External accountability complements intrinsic motivation and reduces the likelihood of skipping sessions or losing focus. Prioritize rest and recovery to support effective practice. Fatigue, stress, or cognitive overload diminishes learning capacity and precision. Balancing practice with rest ensures that the mind and body are ready to engage fully, enhancing the quality and retention of skills. Strategic recovery amplifies the effectiveness of deliberate effort. Commit fully to daily deliberate practice and accumulation of small wins. Each focused effort, no matter how minor, compounds into measurable improvement, enhanced confidence, and tangible skill mastery. By consistently applying intentional high-quality effort, tracking progress, integrating feedback, and celebrating incremental victories, you create a self-reinforcing cycle of growth that transforms potential into achievement and ensures sustainable long-term success. Mastery is not instantaneous, but through disciplined, deliberate, and consistent practice, combined with recognition of small daily wins, every individual can expand their abilities, increase competence, and reach levels of performance previously thought unattainable. Chapter 20. Act on values-driven choices that align actions with identity. True transformation begins when actions reflect core values, and acting on values-driven choices that align with identity empowers consistent growth, integrity, and meaningful fulfillment. Living in alignment with personal principles strengthens clarity of purpose, reduces internal conflict, and provides a stable framework for decision-making, even in complex or stressful situations. When actions mirror identity, every choice reinforces self-confidence, reinforces habit formation, and builds momentum toward long-term goals. Misalignment, on the other hand, creates tension, doubt, and a sense of disconnection, draining motivation and obstructing personal progress. Acting deliberately in accordance with deeply held values forms the foundation for a life of intentional achievement and authentic satisfaction. Start by identifying your core values. Reflect on what truly matters in your life, what you admire in others, and the principles you wish to embody consistently. Values might include honesty, resilience, creativity, contribution, or discipline. Clearly defined values act as a compass, providing direction for choices, behaviors, and priorities. When values are explicit, decisions become more intentional, and actions consistently reinforce your desired identity. Examine current behaviors and assess alignment with values. Observe daily habits, decision patterns, and responses to challenges. Identify areas where actions diverge from core principles and consider the consequences of repeated misalignment. Awareness of discrepancies creates a foundation for conscious adjustment and reinforces the importance of integrity in everyday life. Prioritize choices based on long-term alignment rather than short-term gratification. Immediate rewards often conflict with values, leading to regret or inconsistency. Evaluate decisions by asking whether they support your identity and long-term goals. Choosing deliberately in alignment with values fosters discipline, strengthens self-respect, and enhances the cumulative effect of daily decisions on personal growth. Create actionable guidelines to implement values in daily life. Define specific behaviors that represent each core value in practical terms. For example, if one value is honesty, committing to transparent communication and avoiding exaggeration reflects that principle. Translating abstract values into concrete behaviors ensures consistency, provides measurable checkpoints, and reinforces identity-aligned action. Use reflective practices to monitor alignment. Regularly assess decisions, actions, and responses to determine whether they reflect stated values. Journaling, self-check-ins, or structured reflection sessions provide insight into patterns of alignment and areas requiring adjustment. Reflection strengthens awareness, reinforces accountability, and guides intentional improvement over time. Integrate small, consistent actions that embody values. Major life decisions are important, but daily behaviors reinforce identity more powerfully through repetition. Simple practices, like following through on commitments, treating others with respect, and prioritizing integrity in minor tasks, accumulate into substantial alignment over time. Small actions compound into a consistent identity-driven lifestyle. Address misalignment promptly. When actions contradict values, acknowledge the discrepancy and take corrective steps immediately. Avoid rationalizing or ignoring behaviors that undermine identity. Rapid course correction reinforces accountability, prevents habitual inconsistency, and strengthens confidence in the ability to act in alignment even when challenges arise. Surround yourself with supportive influences. Engage with people, communities, or environments that reinforce your values. Exposure to aligned perspectives strengthens commitment, provides modeling for consistent behavior, and reduces pressure to compromise principles under social or professional stress. Positive influence reinforces identity and supports sustained action. Develop mental resilience to uphold values under pressure. Situations often arise that test consistency, provoke fear, or create temptation to compromise. Strengthening emotional regulation, decision-making clarity, and focus ensures that choices remain guided by principles rather than reactive impulses. Resilience under pressure solidifies integrity and long-term alignment. Use visualization to reinforce value-driven behavior. Imagine scenarios where choices reflect core principles, anticipate potential challenges, and rehearse responses that honor identity. Mental rehearsal prepares the mind for real-life execution, reduces hesitation, and reinforces confidence in consistent action. Visualization strengthens the neural patterns associated with value-aligned behavior. Set measurable intentions that connect values with actionable outcomes. Define concrete goals, milestones, and checkpoints that demonstrate adherence to principles in practice. Linking abstract ideals to observable achievements reinforces accountability, allows tracking of progress, and transforms values into lived experience rather than theoretical concepts. Leverage accountability partners or mentors. Share your values, intentions, and progress with trusted individuals who can provide feedback, challenge inconsistencies, and offer support. Accountability strengthens commitment, enhances motivation, and ensures that efforts toward alignment are visible and reinforced externally, as well as internally. Practice deliberate choice-making throughout daily routines. Even minor decisions, like how to respond to emails, manage conflicts, or allocate time, present opportunities to reinforce alignment. Conscious attention to routine actions embeds values into habitual behavior, ensuring that identity-driven choices permeate all aspects of life. Integrate reflection on long-term purpose. Evaluate whether daily actions cumulatively support overarching life goals and identity vision. Considering long-term alignment provides perspective, reduces susceptibility to distractions, and enhances motivation to act consistently in the present. Purpose-driven reflection strengthens focus and ensures meaningful direction. Balance flexibility with principle. Acting in alignment does not require rigid perfection, but requires adherence to core principles while adapting to circumstances. Flexibility allows strategic adjustment without compromising identity, ensuring that actions remain both practical and principled in diverse situations. Reinforce alignment through recognition and celebration. Acknowledge instances where choices successfully reflected values. Positive reinforcement strengthens habit formation, increases motivation, and solidifies the identity-behavior connection. Celebrating progress encourages continued intentional action and highlights the tangible benefits of alignment. Apply continuous learning to strengthen value-driven decisions. Seek knowledge, skills, and perspectives that enhance the ability to act consistently with principles. Education, feedback, and reflection expand understanding and capacity, enabling more sophisticated, confident, and deliberate choice-making over time. Address internal resistance proactively. Resistance, doubt, or conflicting desires can interfere with values-aligned action. Recognize resistance as natural and redirect focus to principles and desired identity. Overcoming internal conflict reinforces discipline, strengthens self-trust, and ensures consistent action despite challenges or discomfort. Commit fully to living in alignment with values. Daily decisions, habitual actions, and responses to external pressures should reflect core principles, creating an integrated identity where thought, intention, and behavior are cohesive. Commitment requires consistent awareness, reflection, and deliberate execution, but results in authentic confidence, purpose, and sustained personal growth. Acting in alignment transforms potential into meaningful accomplishment, ensures that integrity guides every step, and creates a life of coherence, clarity, and fulfillment, where each action strengthens both identity and long-term success.